Welcome to a live episode of RPG Book Club. On this episode, we date our mom, become our dads, and hang out naked with God. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren, and this is Papyrus.
And I'm Michael Spiffle-Webben. Or am I?
Ooh.
A lot of identity questions in this episode.
Oh, yeah. Today we will be playing the rest of Xenogears from Chapter 57, Promised Land, to Chapter 61, First and Last. But before we get started, how was everyone's week?
My week was okay. I'm not going to talk about the stressful thing that happened because it's just going to stress me out again.
Yeah.
I think everything's okay. And it's just my anxiety being stupid. But my anxiety is stupid, and it won't let me think everything's okay.
Yep,
so
that's the problem, isn't it?
It's a great conundrum. Today, though, while I was playing Xenogears, one of my BFFs showed up and captured me and took me to see a horrible movie.
What movie?
What movie?
We went to see the Nutcracker and the Four
that looks
Realms.
like it's bullshit.
It
looks like ass.
It's really, visually appealing in some ways, but... yeah, it's not a good movie.
It's why are you trying to do some kind of MCU shit out of the Nutcracker? Who would rather just see the Nutcracker?
It's the gritty, dark reboot of the Nutcracker.
How can you possibly improve on the Nutcracker? Jesus.
Certainly not by making a gritty, dark reboot of it. No, we had a good time. This is the friend that I also went to see Jupiter Ascending with. So we've just kind of made a habit of going to see bad movies.
I don't understand the connection there. Jupiter Ascending is the greatest movie ever made.
Wow, that's a hot take.
It is not, but it is also not on the level, probably, I would guess, of a Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
I have always wanted to watch Jupiter Ascending. I have the poster for it, and everything about it sounded like it to be something I would want. And then I wasn't able to see it the week it came out, which was long enough for everybody to convince me to not see it. So one of these days, I'll actually watch it and give my opinion on it. But I haven't yet.
Money, I would bet that Sam doesn't like it. And is wrong about that, but Okay. I don't know though. It's a toss-up. I'm not surprised that Eli doesn't like it. With Sam, I could go either way, but I think I would land on you don't like it.
Yeah, I would think so too.
I tend to like a lot of things just in general. I know that I've been moderately negative on Xenogears, which is demonstrably good, but for the most part, I tend to like things.
Yeah. The guy who plays Newt in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a character in Jupiter Ascending, and it's
okay. It's not so bad. It's good acting. It's not like Nick Cage. Everyone says it's bad acting, but actually he's a genius. No, it's bad.
It's straight up bad.
It's just bad. I do love it, but not love it in a way where I think it's actually good. It sucks.
A lot of shit in Jupiter Ascending
is an awful actor. And he should not be allowed to live.
Wow. That's that might be going a little far there, but I will say that a lot of Jupiter Ascending is just hilariously straight up bad. But it's not offensive, so it's okay.
Yeah. We'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
Anyway, for reasons I cannot disclose, I will not allow dunking on the Wachowskis today.
I agree. I love the Wachowskis.
They can do no wrong.
Well,
speaking of people who can do no wrong, and also how my week was really, really bad.
Nice segue. What was so bad about it?
Thank you.
I don't think you shared.
So my week was really, really bad because Stan Lee passed away this week.
Yeah.
And that was really, really crappy. So it's the way I deal with mortality, and sorry if I start using red chair psychologist type speak, because I did talk with my psychologist about this yesterday. But so the way I deal with it is I like to boil down and think of a certain moment, what does it mean to be that person or whatever. So like, for instance, with my Meemaw, she had like the full 3-day extravaganza funeral, and I don't remember anything that happened at it except for at her graveside service, everyone was like, okay, you can talk about Meemaw and say what she means, etc. And her, and the youth pastor at her church is like, I know this makes me sound petty or whatever, but I really hope that she gave you guys the secret recipe to her cookies because I'm going to miss her cookies. And that was mourning Meemaw. Like, that was it. Like, the rest of it was just like people talking in a church somewhere, but that was Meemaw's funeral for me. Mm-hmm. And so to do that for Stan Lee, I played a crap load of the new Spider-Man game, and it's really, really good. And like, in a perfect way. So I come home from the errands we ran yesterday, and I put on Spider-Man and I start playing, and then it's like about time for bed. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna, after this cutscene, I'm gonna go to bed. And that cutscene was the one that had Stan Lee's cameo in it. Aww. And it kind of was just like the perfect thing to do. So it was dope. It was really sad, but Spider-Man's really good. Right. Definitely deserves all of the hype. Cool. And so one thing that I think is funny, like, to talk about the game for a second, is being an open world game, there's a whole bunch of like waypoints for you to go and interact with all the time. And instead of being like, oh, you have to find the 50 spider coins floating for some reason in New York City, you find all of the backpacks that high school Spider-Man would stow his clothes in when he had to turn into Spider-Man, and forgot them places. And so every time, like, Spider-Man opens it up and he's like, oh, this was like my corsage for prom, or oh, this was a menu that me and MJ took on our first date and stuff. And it's like really cute and hilarious that Spider-Man lost 55 backpacks in high school.
God, like, how much did he spend on backpacks? Like, Jesus.
I don't know, but it's amazing.
That owns. I love that.
But yeah, and then the other thing they do is, instead of because like in Assassin's Creed game, you get the map for the area, but that doesn't turn on any of the waypoints. You unlock each waypoint at like a specific time through the story. So it's like at the so when you finally like get your RFID reader, that's when you can find all your backpacks. And then it's like, oh, well, I was talking with somebody and they wanted a picture of something. And so then you have all your photography ones and something like that. And so instead of like, you turn on the game and it's just littered with waypoints, it's almost empty. And then it's like, oh, you want to know where all the pictures are? Here's where all the pictures are. And so it's,
thank goodness. Yeah. Cause
it's really cool.
That's not just smart Spider-Man. That's also just like
smart
how
games.
It should freaking be. Cause that's why I can't stand all these damn map games.
Yeah. I like ever since I 100%ed the first Assassin's Creed, I was pretty much done with map games. Yeah. And this one doesn't feel like a map game, even though it's literally all I'm doing is just picking the next dot on the map, swinging over there, but swinging is like all of the fun. And then, but it's really good. And also my favorite part about it is Mary Jane is
so
cute and not like a supermodel hot. She's just like a cute girl, and it's like awesome because
2018 Mary Jane.
Yeah, she's just
she's such a cutie pie,
right? Agreed. They didn't make Todd McFarlane's MJ. Like there hasn't really been an MJ like this before, because she's always been like a model of some sort,
right.
And so.
She also she's not only cute, but she also just looks like a regular person.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Which is really good. Yeah. Big fan.
What about you, Spiff? How was your week?
I don't even know what I did this week. I'll tell you what I did. I was telling you the last time we had that big election, so I was decompressing after the election. I mean, we all had it, but I did a lot of stuff in California for it. I got into this weird vibe where normally I'm a relatively introverted person. I like to go out sometimes, but I also like to stay in sometimes. And also I've got this new game I'm working on, so I'm really hyped about this game, right? But weirdly enough, like every night over the last week, I've just been like antsy, just like I gotta hang out with friends. I've just been like craving social interaction, which again is, I don't dislike social interaction, but it's not something I like have this like pressing desire, like I need to do this or I'm gonna like die. Like, but that's how I've been like every day this week, so it's weird. And most of the time it amounted to nothing. I'd like hit up my friends and they'd all be like, we're busy or we don't want to go out because we're all tired. So I would also stay in because I was tired. But I had a couple good times. I had a really good brunch on Monday with one of my best friends out here. And some ins and some odds and ends. But yeah, that's mostly it. It's been chilling, having a good time. I got that game Tetris Effect. It is great. Here's the thing. I've bought like 3 games this year because I've been so stupendously broke from moving and being married and divorced. And I wasn't going to buy this one, right? Because I'm like, $40, I really can't afford that. It's not, if it's not Dragon Quest or Super Smash Brothers, basically, it's not on my list of priorities to buy because that's like $120 for Dragon Quest and Super Smash Bros. And that's it for the year. But a friend of mine convinced me to, like, it's okay to treat yourself every goddamn now and then. So I did, and it's great. It's just Tetris with graphics. How is it that good? But it is. I feel like it's making me better at Tetris.
It's Tetris with graphics, and also your speed is tied to the music, and that's just insane.
Okay, so one cool thing. The speed being tied to the music, obviously that's like cool from like an aesthetic standpoint, but I hadn't realized how it affects the gameplay in one really cool way. Classic Tetris starts slow and it gets faster. This game also does that, but sometimes it also gets slower.
Yeah,
that's the cool,
which is cool.
So like the songs will naturally like give you a break sometimes, and that's really cool. It's a weird feeling to be playing Tetris and it actually gets easier. It's always temporary, of course. Then that slow section of the music passes and it goes back to being hard again. Although it is usually it doesn't usually surprise you. Usually the music, if it's going to switch tempos, it switches tempos on a multiple of 10 lines. So like if I'm at line 19, I'm like, okay, once I hit line 20, it's either going to get easier or it's going to get harder. And sometimes you'll hit line 20 and they just start going, and I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And if you hit 30, you beat the level. So I'm just like, please God, please God, please God, let me make it to 30 as quickly as I can.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. I'm just trucking and playing Xenogears.
And both of us are making sure we don't play Legend of Dragoon yet because we really want to.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to share that with you guys.
Yeah,
but, let's finish our plate before we get seconds, and let's talk about Xenogears.
So Xenogears. We're playing the rest of the game from Chapter 57, Promised Land, to Chapter 61, First and Last, and before we already talked about this. Before we get started, so we start off.
Let's just start it over. Let's just talk about.
So we start off with a brain ball scene. Where did we end up last time? By the way.
So this was.
So
I don't
much
know
happened this time. I legitimately can't remember the last thing that happened last time.
Oh, the last thing that happened was Elly had gone to save Faye and them after their gears got. Their gears and Choo Choo got crucified.
Yep. They got the gears got crucified. And the people were just chilling in the cockpit. So we start off with the brain ball scene. One of the last brain ball scenes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And the brain ball scene, they're basically like, all right, guys, so let's go over the plan so far. Step 1, get the body of God. Done. Step 2, get all the anime relics. Done. Got it. Step 3, get all the Animus, that's your party members. Okay, got it. Check. We got it. So then they're like, all right, next, the brain ball, all of us consciousness is uploaded into this brain ball. We're going to turn into the Animus. We're going to possess the bodies of the Animus, and then we're going to have our bodies back, and then we're going to become one with Mother - Persona - question mark. Step 6, profit. Right? They're basically just like going over it. They're just like, all right, so we're all agreed. This is the plan, right? Got it. All right, cool. So then Krelian shows up and he murders the brain ball.
Yep.
I hadn't realized this, but maybe one reason I enjoyed this final section of the game so much is because there was no more brain ball. Krelian shows up and he's like, yeah, these scenes are stupid and annoying. I'm going to murder y'all. So he shows
unplug the power.
Yeah, so he shows up and he starts shutting them down one by one, super slowly, like 2001: A Space Odyssey style. And they're like, Daisy. Yeah, and they're all turning off, and they're like, what? They're like, you can't kill us. We're going to become God. And he's like, God? Who said you'd be God? And then he goes, we are humans. We are created. We are created to be terminal interfaces of God. Man cannot become God. We can only entrust ourselves to God. And I'm like, get it? I think Krelian. Yeah, Krelian kills the
it's Krelian.
Yeah. I want to make sure I wasn't using the wrong name.
And they're all like, you can't unplug us. It'll erase the high score.
Yep. And he's like, watch me. And he's like, you know what? Die mad about it, okay?
Yeah.
Now I will be the best at Frogger.
Yeah. So then you learn about the ARC plan and Project Noah. I wrote. They just briefly mentioned that's what that was all along. Because they're like, it turns out what their plan is they're like, we're gonna reunite with God, but then we're going to get everyone and go on a big spaceship and take over the galaxy. And that's what their Project Noah is. And he's like, no, that's stupid. I'm going to kill you.
What it really was is they decided they needed one more time to reference something else from the Bible before the game was over.
Exactly. Although it's like, okay, ARC plan? That makes sense because it's like ARC is just a generic pronoun or a generic noun, but like Project Noah, like, wait, do they have the story of Noah in this universe? Like, what? Right. Actually, you know what? That makes sense, because if this is really our timeline, just way in the future on another planet, like, maybe they found out about the ancient Earth legend of Noah. Anyway.
Maybe.
So then there's a, where's the Ramson Miang? Oh, that's a little bit later. Cool. Yeah. So important note from last time. We were talking about, Graf, and Graf shows up because when Elly got kidnapped, Graf shows up and it's like, Faye, you suck, basically. But we didn't address one important thing. He says that the reason Faye is still weak is because he doesn't have wrath, and he's like, you need anger, you need wrath in order to unlock your true power. What he's saying is it's because your bracelet locked away id, right? Yeah, like instead of dealing with your problem, instead of dealing with your person with your psychological mental health issues, you just suppressed it and locked it away. Like, you need to get some therapy and unlock your true powers.
Okay, so I just thought of this. This is a slight bone to pick with id. So if id is all of Faye's wrath and he has it locked away, why is Faye still just like, God dang it, I'm going to punch this computer to death?
Well, I think wrath isn't the same thing as just being mad like in a normal person way, right? I think it's the super, super negative, evil, like hatred and desire to kill. Well, actually, I think it's the opposite, because remember how we keep joking about how like you learn about how the Nazis are like unimaginably evil, and he's just like, that really ticks me off. Well, that's why he doesn't get as mad as you'd think, because that's his job.
It burns my biscuits.
He's just like, that really gets my goat right there. I don't like it. I don't like it when they do that.
I don't much care for it.
Yeah, I ain't for it. I'm against it.
That reminds me. So yesterday I was talking about something, and I told Summer that this person at my job was given what for, and she had never heard that before ever in her life.
Really?
Because she's from Chicago and not from the South.
Hey.
And this is my PSA to not marry Yanks, because they'll never understand you.
So what happens is Faye's still sad because he's weak. And he's like, ugh, I can't beat him. And Wiseman shows up. And he's like, not with that attitude, you can't. That's not the way that he says it, but that's basically what he says. And he gives him like a pep talk. He's Wiseman, you know. So 2 weeks later, they found Elly. Turns out for the last 2 weeks, the bad guys have been up to building God's Ark, Merkava, like you do, just building God's Ark. I don't know what this is supposed to be, because it's called Merkava here, but if you look at the track titles of the Arranged album Creed, which is brilliant, and I'll be pitching it multiple times in this podcast, because you have to, if everyone who listens to this doesn't listen to that album, I haven't done my job. Anyway, it's called Melkaba so it's got that LR merger with the Japanese, but also it's also Melkaba with like BAH.
Merkaba.
So who knows what it's
which is But that's also like there's no V in
right. So I don't know which of those is actually correct. Who knows?
There are four.
I would need to know what I would need to know what they're referencing. Right? Probably some Kabbalah thing. Anyway, so they're like, let's go to God's Ark Merkava, and because this is disc 2, it's like they go there, and the elements are there, and you see the elements outside of Merkava, and they're like, hey, we're here because we don't like how Ramses is being manipulated by Miang and Krelian. Like, our allegiance is to Ramses. We're not bad. We're just Ramses's gals. We're his gang. We really want to. And Faye or whoever is like, well, we're kind of on the same side. Like, we both want this to, we both want what's best. And they're like, okay, so they don't fight. They don't fight you, which is cool. So then you meet Ramses, and he is on one. Like, how fake, how like Elly gave him a big pep talk about how he's a big dumb baby and needs to stop blaming other people and get a damn therapist. Well, he didn't. He's
did not
the same.
at all.
He's like, I'm weak, I'm trash. Faye is my only reason for existence. Blah 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 blah. And they're just like, dude, you don't have to be like this. Can you not? And he's like, no, I can't not. And then even the elements show up, and Dominia is like, Ramses, can you please stop? Like, we're here for you. We love you. You're not trash. We're your buds.
Look at these 4 girlfriends.
Look at these. You have 4 girlfriends, man. Faye's only got 1.
But he's got 3 boyfriends.
Faye does have 2 boyfriends, so that's true. So is 2 boys equal to 3 girls? I don't know.
I'm counting Krelian in that.
Oh, okay.
Even though that was technically Lacan.
That's definitely true. He's got 3 boyfriends. Okay, cool. Although, does it count as lots of boyfriends if you've been reincarnated a million times? It's like cheating. Everyone's your boyfriend and everyone's your girlfriend or your mom or your dad.
We basically could just end the podcast right there. That's what we find out over the next 3 hours of gameplay.
Anyway, the point is, Ramses will not be deterred, even though his literal 4 girlfriends are yelling at him to like be regular for once. So you fight him. And even though this whole game has been he's a pathetic idiot and his fights are stupid easy, this fight's not stupid easy. It's not trivial, but I mean, it's not like hard. You don't like lose.
Well, the Ramses part it's not too hard.
No, it's hard enough that you have to pay attention because you better be saving your fuel and health for the next fight. But actually, I think the second time I fought it, I actually almost died on Ramses. It was like, since I beat him the first time through, I was like, I got this, and then I stopped paying attention, and then I almost died. So yeah, it's cool to see Ramses, I don't know, being good at fights for once in his life. Anyway, you beat him.
Without Miang's help.
Yeah, exactly. And usually Miang sucks too. So anyway, you beat him, and I don't know what he does. I think he just runs off. He's just like, okay, bye.
He doesn't leave. He's still there, but he was real salty.
Yeah, you just go past him. You're like, okay, bye, bitch. And you go on to the next part of the dungeon. And then you go through this weird little lab, and they're like, what's this? And they're like, oh, this is where Ramses was created. Oh, wait, yeah, here's where we get all the flashbacks. Sorry. So Ramses' deal. Here's what it is, okay? We already basically know he's a clone of the Emperor, but we get these flashbacks of him being in a tube, and he's literally just a brain in a vat. But apparently, even though he's a brain, he can still listen. He can still hear, even though he doesn't have ears. And literally, the people who created him, like Miang and whoever else, are talking about him, and they're literally just like, yeah, this thing sucks ass. This thing's pathetic. It's trash. It's worthless. And he's like right there. And he's like, I'm right here.
And the reason they say it's trash is because in walks Miang. And Krelian's like, oh, that's a new interesting body you have. And she goes, yeah, my name is Karen, and I'm about to give birth to the contact, so we don't need this crappy thing anymore. It's trash and throw it away, which means Miang is Faye's mom.
Yeah, she even says,
and remember that because that comes up later.
Which is really neat because the classic JRPG trope is that, a lot of characters have daddy issues, and this whole game we've been like, who is Faye's dad? All these characters are Faye's dad, but not once was his mom mentioned. Also, if you've watched Evangelion, you know that the whole thing is that Shinji has a really shitty dad. So you're like, this is all about Faye's dad. But at this point, it's like, oh, this is the first time in the whole game we've seen anything about Faye's mom, and she's like literally the evil villain and is talking with the other evil villain and is like, hey, I'm about to give birth to this child and he can help you fulfill your evil desires. Throw Ramses in the trash. And you're like, what the heck? This is Faye's mom, apparently. Whoa, this is unexpected. Yeah. So then you go on and you see the next scene and you see like a little lab and you just walk through it and it's like, this lab is where Ramses was made. And you're like, cool. And he goes through the door to the next scene. And in the next scene, we got the second crucifixion of the game. But not, this time it's not a robot that's being crucified. It's just Elly on a cross. And the cross is tilted.
That was here? Damn, this whole thing is completely out of order. And it didn't help that earlier when I was taking screenshots for you, my computer saved them out of order. So I have no idea when anything happens.
Yeah, so Elly is on a cross, and it's tilted sideways, because I guess it looks cooler that way. I don't know, because what... Yeah. Oh, you guys notice that the X in the Xenogears logo is actually a cross?
Yes.
You might wonder what's the difference, but like the exact proportions of the X are if you took a picture of a cross from an angle, which is cute. So Elly's getting Xenogearsed, and we're all like, wow, okay, that's not cool. And Miang is there, and Krelian is there. And in the background of this large room is a big, oh boy, it's like a big sphere with a bunch of eyeballs on it. And it's creepy looking. And
it's gross. It's like a big pile of something. It looks like almost
the god pile doesn't stop from keep getting larger. So you fight him, and I don't know. Miang says all this plot, right, about how they're going to revive God and stuff. It is important, but it gets clarified more later, so we'll just skip it for now, right? Like, yeah.
Before the boss battle is no big deal. It's after the boss battle that it's
we're going to do the bad thing. Well, actually, she does say a few good things. It's basically like Elly is not just because you might have noticed for the last couple weeks, all the bad guys used to care about Faye all the time, and they're like, we got to get Faye, but now they're like, we got to get Elly all the time, and Faye shows up and they're like, fuck off. So it's like Elly is like the mother, and she's part of God, basically. She's destined to be, in ways that will become more clear later. Yeah, so they're about to crucify Elly, and you fight Miang and in your robots, and it's a really hard fight.
Takes forever.
It's cool. What's interesting is that the game design has been it's been off and on the whole game. I feel like it's on here because these two fights both require significantly different loadouts, but you have to make a loadout that works for both fights. Yeah. Which is really cool. Like for me,
you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going into the electric dungeon, so let me put on all of my electric offs or whatever.
What happened was, after I lost to Miang, I completely outfitted my gears with stuff that would be best against Miang, but it turns out that meant I did a lot worse against Ramses, and then wasn't able to beat Miang. For example, one thing I found out is that you don't always want the best HP up. Did y'all notice that?
I did notice in the fight with... the final boss, the guy that I was watching, he had in the end he had an engine that only gave him 1,000 fuel, and I was like, why would you want that? We've had 30,000 fuel everywhere else, but it's because of other things.
I actually in this case it was the HP 70 or whatever. So originally I was like, why would you want an HP 50 when you could have HP 70 or 90? And then
because it's HP 70 takes too much fucking fuel.
Literally, you don't have enough fuel to damn use it. Yeah. So what happens is Ramses, literally the first thing Ramses does is he uses an attack that brings all of your HP to 1. So right off the bat, you have to use a shit ton of your fuel to heal right at the beginning. And what I found out for me personally, I had to end that fight with enough fuel for 1 more heal. So I had to be able to use 2 heals over the course of those 2 fights, which meant I had to use HP 50 instead of 70. Because 70, if you use it once, you don't have the fuel to use it again. And that's just one aspect of it. There's a lot of interesting aspects to these fights that I quite enjoyed.
For mine, what I did basically was, so after the Ramses fight, I was real low on fuel because I had boosted through it. So what I did was, when Miang uses her ether attack, if you have not attacked her, it does 0 damage. or at least it was doing 0 damage to me. And then, so what I would do is I would have one person attack her once until she used it again, and then I would wait, and I would just use charge over and over and over, because charge restores a little bit of fuel.
And then eventually use your death blows.
Yeah, and I was trying to get my gears into an infinite mode.
Oh, that's a good idea, too. Yeah.
And then when they were in infinite mode, they were charging 10 times as much fuel for 3 turns.
That's pretty smart.
So I got my fuel up enough, and I hit her enough times, like, you know, that I would get to a point where I could do, like, a level 3 death blow.
Yeah.
And then I would just go back to recharging.
Yeah, for me, it was... Cause, so the way it works for those who were listening is every time you attack her, her defense goes up, and her ether attack goes up. And for me, she did not do 0 if I attacked her none, unfortunately, but she would do not a lot, right? So yeah, so what I did was, so basically the more you attack her, the more your attacks aren't going to do damage, and the more she's going to wallop you when it gets to be her turn. So, as a compromise, I attacked twice per cycle. Because your first attack does full damage, and your second attack does pretty good damage. And then when she wallops you, it's not a ton of damage. It's manageable. And then you charge. And you hope that you can charge enough to heal at least once during the battle or whatever, or maybe a third time depending on who you're playing with. Also, since it is all ether, so that's the thing. The reason I almost lost to Ramses the second time was because I was like, oh, well, I can't use any boost during Ramses. And also, I have to have only ether defense because Miang has a nasty ether attack. So I lost all my physical defense, but then that made me actually almost lose to Ramses. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun, and I just want to... We don't talk about the game design much, but I just wanted to stop and highlight it because I think they really did a good job on this climactic fight. I had to use my brain a lot.
Yeah, they also did the thing where you technically fought Miang twice because the first time she kicks your butt because she's super awesome, but then that becomes untrue because Krelian gives away her weakness and you fight her again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I thought your notes were talking about then, and I remember that happening, but the more I talked, I was like, maybe I'm not actually right.
Sorry. No. Yeah. That's just a joke. That's fine. Yeah, so what happens is you beat Miang. And you're like, hey, we beat Miang. But then in classic RPG fashion, she gets right back up again. And Krelian's like, you fools. Unless you can decompose her atomic structure, you don't stand a chance. And I'm like, oh, wow, way to give away your weakness, dude. All I gotta do is decompose her atomic structure. that was what I meant there. Also, there's a couple of choice lines.
Because because there was one of those either this week or last week, and I couldn't remember if that was this one or not.
Anyway, also Krelian goes, you're a bunch of stupid fools. It's almost as if you're all clowns. Which is...
These are synonyms.
Which is real fun.
It's got the best lines.
Also, Miang is like, everyone's gears like become deactivated or whatever. Or no, she's going to capture all of them. And she's like... Not only am I going to capture y'all, I'm also going to capture your friends. And you're like, my friends? And she goes, I'm talking about your friends who split up and took a different path than you into this place.
Yeah. I saw that one.
Nice little hand wave there, right? I think it's really funny. Anyway, so she's regenerating with nanomachines. So what happens is Deus... the big thing with the eyeballs behind us, that's Deus. That's the final boss. That's God. Mm-hmm. So he makes everyone's gears freeze up, and then he absorbs all of their anime relics, because it turns out those were all the pieces of God that it needed to regenerate. But first they had to sink. So it's like, it needed the relics, but the relics weren't activated until... They weren't like charcoal activated until they came into contact with the party members. So by coming into contact with the party members, now they're powered up basically, and now they're ready to be absorbed. Mm-hmm.
And we should have done the thing that we talked about in Sailor Moon, which was get one anime relic and then go hide in a mountain for the rest of the time. Well, to be fair,
at least in this game, we didn't actually know the bad guys needed the anime relics. We just wanted them because they made our robots better.
That's true.
So we were getting them for our own reasons, and then they're like, so basically, it's half the JRPGs have a twist at the end where the bad guy's like, "You fool, you were doing the thing I wanted you to do all along." You know what I mean? So in this case, it's like, haha, you went and got all the anime relics and brought them.
Based on that, we should have seen it coming.
Yeah,
and to be fair, we did only go and get two of them. Yeah. It's just Bart already had one, Faye already had one, Elly already had one.
And
we
the
really
bad
just
guys
went and got two. So we were.
So yeah, it's actually a pretty decent application of this trope because, like, yeah, it's not just completely like your party members are idiots. You know, it's like it actually is kind of I like it. And again, like half of them the bad guys got anyway.
I wasn't meaning to like trash the game.
Oh no, not at all. It's an interesting discussion to discuss how it's handling these things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it absorbs them. Ellie's also a piece of God, so they're absorbing Elly as well. It turns out that the whole myth about the creation of the world that we heard ages ago was actually fabricated by Solaris, just for reasons or whatever. But then Ramses shows up, and he is continuing to have a time. And Miang tells him the truth. He's like, well, what's my purpose? I thought you just absorbed all these pieces of God. I thought I was important to
you passed butter
reviving God, you know? And like, but you're just explaining how reviving God is just because of these guys. And Miang's like, yeah, dude, here's the thing. We literally made you for one reason, and that was to kill Cain. Cain
what is my purpose? You kill Cain.
Cain
oh my God.
Cain was the original human, and therefore is unkillable. So we had to clone him, and only a clone of Cain can kill Cain. But the problem is, when we cloned you, you were really mentally unstable. You had a lot of issues, dude. Probably because we talked about how much you sucked all the time. So we created the whole Faye story about how Faye is great and you suck, and how you're like destined to be the most powerful human being ever, and how you're like an important part of our evil plan. None of that was true. We just did that to trick you and to give you issues. And your resentment gave you strength. And then you killed Cain, which is literally the whole reason for you even being here. So since you did that, you're worthless now. I really like this, and I really like Ramses.
Yeah, so he does what anybody in his in that situation would do. He just kills everyone in the room. Like I was like taken aback at this point where I was just like, holy shit, Ramses isn't trash.
Great.
He just
Ramses kills Miang and kills Krelian.
And Miang, as she's dying, thanks Ramses for killing her.
Yeah, which is very interesting. She goes, "Thank you, Ramses. That's actually what I wanted because I cannot kill myself." And we don't question. He doesn't say why because he's too busy killing people. Then he kills Krelian, and and the party's just like, cool.
Thanks.
And then
thanks, bro.
A legitimately fantastic twist happens.
Yeah, I was shocked at this one too. At first, I thought I didn't read it correctly, like with the sprites or whatever. I thought I missed something, and then it's just like, just in case you missed it, here's an anime scene, so you're not mistaken.
So they're like, well, let's go get Elly down off this cross that she's been hanging off the entire time. So Faye steps up to the cross and reaches up to like start untying her, and a gunshot rings out, and Faye falls down. And then there's an anime scene showing Elly holding the gun and pointing it, and then her hair turns purple. And it's good. Also, they hand wave it. They're like, oh, also she apparently stole Billy's gun really fast. Which is great. So basically, this shit completely hits the fan at this point. So Elly has turned into Miang now. And Elly explains some of the plot. I'll just say, so she says, this Deus, the one you call God, is just an interplanetary invasion weapons system, end quote, that was built in ancient times by humans from another planet. It was created as an automatic weapon, so it just acts on its own will and takes control of a targeted planet, but you already knew this if you read the computer from last week. Anyway, during a test run, Deus became
I love her, like, blasé, like, anyway.
During a test run, Deus became uncontrollable. It released its power and annihilated a whole planet. The creators of Deus found its immeasurable power to be too much of a threat, and so they shut it down. In order to analyze the cause of the problem, the core was dismantled and placed on an interplanetary immigrant passenger ship to be transported to another planet. Basically a big space bus. But Deus became aware of this, so the disassembled Deus resisted. It tried to take over the passenger ship. However, as its last line of defense, the creators of the ship, aka the opening anime of the game, they destroyed the whole ship and it crashed onto the planet. Deus knew that it wouldn't be able to get away from the explosion, so it detached itself from, very important word here, the Zohar power reactor. And Faye goes, Har question mark. And purple-haired Elly says, yes, Zohar. It's what drives all of the gears on this planet. So it turns out that magic in this game, everyone's magic... I actually like this because this game is not a fantasy universe. This game is a zillion years in the future from Earth. So we don't have magic. Why would they have magic? Just because they're years in the future on another planet, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, turns out that there's this master generator, this unimaginably powerful energy generator, like a fourth dimensional quantum whatever energy generator called the Zohar. And it makes an energy field that is what magic is. Like, you're just using Zohar power, and gears are powered by Zohar. For ages in this game, they've been using the term slave generator. They're like, oh, this gear has a powerful slave generator. Well, it turns out, this is actually just a pretty common technical term, that it's because there's a master and slave generator.
Oh, yeah.
So...
And not like each gear just creates slaves. Yeah. It's not that sort of slave generator.
So a gear's power generator, it doesn't have any power of its own. It just is harnessing the power that is being emitted by this Zohar and always has been. So it's just like there's a...
Which is why you can charge and get fuel back in your gameplay. Because if it's gasoline, like you can't just charge to get more gasoline. But you can tap more into the Zohar.
All the technology and all the magic is just you utilizing this energy field created by this Zohar generator. By utilizing the energy displacements caused by actualizing potential future phenomenon. Good stuff. Bart says, the source of all ether power? And then Titan is like, really? And then she's like, yeah. But wait, there's more. And then here's the really interesting thing. The core that was attached to the Zohar, the biological computer Katamoni, crashed onto the planet. It activated Persona. Its life support plant that can generate organic material. Basically, here's the real kicker of this game. The big twist. The real how it all works. All right. The thing crashed. And it's almost dead. And this computer, which is it's just a weapon. It's just like, my job is to destroy planets. It's like, I need to get repaired. So it activates its organic matter creation system and makes Emperor Cain and the 12 elders of the Gazel Ministry. And it also creates Miang. And it's like, okay, you people who are the first people that are created on this planet, go populate the entire planet, and in 50,000 years, and there's a bunch of you, I'll absorb all of you and rebuild myself. And it's real fucked up. And there's a lot of stuff about how they used to be part of the circuits. There's two types of organic elements. There's the female element called anima and the male type called the animus. So it turns out the gender binary is hard-coded into the fabric of reality. It's actually not a Takahashi thing. That's Jung. That's Carl Jung right there. Weirdly enough,
that also makes me feel really bad for the trans man that you met at the very beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
Like, thinking about how heteronormative the whole game was, the fact that the first NPC you talked to was a trans man really makes me, like, they're the real tragedy of this whole game. Not like everyone turned into zombies and became like a body horror for God or anything. No, it's just that person can never be their true self because it's hard-coded.
Yep.
But you're either Miang or you're not.
Sucks to be me!
In Jung, it's actually a little weird. In Jung, the anima or the what is it? The anima or the female like psyche is only in anima. Actually, really refers to the female psyche in men, and then the animus is the male psyche in women. That's how Jung that's kind of a Jung thing. I don't really get it exactly, but so that's not really happening here. But that's what happens if you read Wikipedia article on Jung. I mean, probably. I mean, that's pretty important. It's probably in the Wikipedia page. But the thing is, what's cool about the gender binary in this game is that even though it is unimpeachable and hardcore type of reality, it also means that the men and women can join together to make cool robots. So that's as terminal interfaces for Deus, which is cool. God, this plot just keeps on happening. I'm gonna skip past most of this. All the people who created the world blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the main other important part in this thing is Miang says that she was the OG and she's like sleeping latent in all of the females that have ever happened since.
Like, women do be like that, though. It turns out that Miang is the keeper of time and the representative of Deus, and also is like the nurturing mother of humanity. Her job is to be a mom, basically, and how the Miang factor is in every woman who exists. And here's the really freaking cool part. When you killed Miang and then Elly turned into Miang, you're thinking, wow, what a dastardly trick by Miang. Turns out that was completely random.
Yeah.
It turns out anytime Miang dies, another woman becomes Miang, and at no point are they like, and I did this on purpose. It was just like, literally of all the women that could have been Miang, it was Elly. So the bad guy just got like really lucky.
Yeah.
Which I actually think is great. I would rather it be luck than some weird contrived reason. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and this luck shows that either another Wikipedia page that Takashi was reading was the Oedipus and Electra complexes, or he didn't think this through, because remember, his mom was Miang, and now his girlfriend is also Miang, and also everyone he's ever had a crush on was Miang.
No, because the whole id thing, all the stuff about Faye, that's all Freud. So he knew. Yeah. He was doing it for
yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing a heckin' Freud.
It got real weird, and like the more and more that we get through this, and everyone, like on YouTube videos, like every time I would look up a song, everyone's like, the truest love in all of JRPG is Faye and Elly, and that says a lot of weird things about these people on YouTube.
I did
incest is wincest.
I did an Instagram story that was like, this is like the most heteronormative game ever made, and I feel like it probably messed up a lot of 13-year-olds. But yeah, so that's what happened. So you thought you were going to save the day, but then your girlfriend turns into the bad guy, and she, it's bad.
So one thing that's hilarious about this, right, is so Faye just got shot, and he was right there in front of you and got shot and was talking in the conversation, being like, man, it really sucks that I got shot, etc., etc., etc. So the first thing that happens when the scene is over is Saitan sits in a chair and is just like, oh, we found Faye because he had disappeared. And I'm like, how? He was right there.
No. That actually is not what happened. Because I played you mentioned that in the Discord, but I was behind you, so I played that part again later, and I guess I already forgot the explanation, but no, Faye does get, like, I think he gets absorbed all the way into Deus or something. Something does happen to Faye, which
I didn't see it in any of the cutscenes.
No, it does. I forget what it was now, but I remember at the time, because you'd already mentioned that, I was like, oh no, actually that part is explained, but whatever. It is still a goofy.
Okay. Yeah. The YouTube person also could have forgotten to include that clip.
Maybe they forgot. Of course. Yeah. So anyway, it turns out you thought maybe you were going to be like, things are about to get better, but it turns out things are about to get a lot worse.
Way worse.
So you escape. Deus starts absorbing. So now Saitan is in the rocking chair explaining the plot, and Deus starts to absorb all the mutated people. And so here's its job. All the mutated people, those are the parts of God. Because those are the true humans. All the non-mutated people are just a threat, and they shouldn't be there. So, it's set into action. Deus starts making a bunch of seraph, which is just, seraph angels. They keep calling them seraphs, but it should be seraphim. Come on, it's not that hard. Open a Bible. So the seraphim start killing everybody. Then they find Faye with his Weltall, and they find where Merkavo originally was. Faye was in suspended animation. He didn't regain consciousness, so then they decide that, hey, you know how just earlier we were going to put him in Carbonite, and then we decided that was inhumane? Well, actually, we're going to do it. Yeah. And there's a lot of...
And like Saitan doesn't even say like things were different this time. It's just like, the people of Shavat really were afraid of Id, so this time we did it.
Pretty much for the same reason.
Not like because we not because like, oh, we learned new things and we know that because he's the contact we have to do things. They're like, no. We're just scared of Knuckles.
At this point, this enters a very long sequence of the game where it goes in. There's a lot happens with the characters, a lot happens with Faye. It kind of jumps around a lot with a lot of cross cutting, but the gist of it is now that Faye is a reincarnated being throughout a zillion years, so he starts remembering a lot of his past lives, and it's mostly about back when he was Lacan and Krelian and Zephyr and Graf. No, sorry, he's Graf. I'm missing one. Oh, Lacan, Krelian, Zephyr, and Elly were all like buds 500 years ago. And here's the thing. It's actually really good and entertaining and interesting, and the characters have a lot of personality, and I kind of care about them more than the real characters. But it also is not that relevant to the plot at all.
Yeah.
He just learns a lot about it and gets sad. Like, it explains why Krelian is all sad. Basically, Elly dies, and he decides to create God with his own hands, which is a really weird way to flex on your ex, but okay. So basically Elly dies and they deal with it in weird ways. It's like, hey, my girlfriend died and it's 500 years later and I still haven't gotten over it. Krelian decides to create God with his own hands. Lacan decides to become evil and search for the legendary power.
Yeah. That's what
the
you
reason
do.
this happened is because I wrote all this down, but I'm actually going to not explain it. Basically, Zephyr and Shavat actually fucked over Nissan. And they sold him out, basically, because they were scared of Nissan. So basically, they cut a deal with Solaris where they were going to screw over Nissan, and then Solaris and Shavat were going to have joint control of the surface world. So that's why this tragedy 500 years ago happened. It's not because they just lost; it's because their allies betrayed them, and that's why Graf and Krelian are so mad. Yep. Oh,
yes.
Yeah,
rightfully so.
Also, Sophia totally did a vice admiral holdo to the Solaris mothership, which is cool.
Yeah, like that scene's actually like really, really cool because like, so Graf is still around, so Lacan reincarnated without having to die, which is cool, I guess. But like all of these people are like still around, but Elly is like a true reincarnation because olden days Elly was a badass, and like this I feel is the 50,000-year-old character of Ellie's like shining moment, and it happened in the past where she just was like, yeah, like I know I'm Holy Mother of Nissan and like I have all of this stuff that's important, but I'm gonna fly this fucking ship through Shabbat and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
It owns it owns a lot, and there's actually a lot of great stuff in this story that if we had all day I would go into it, because it's the whole backstory, the 500 years ago story is legit real good. We got things like, if you have this, I believe that if you have light in your heart you can overcome any hardship. Krelian says, is God dead? ... Is he just not there? ... Maybe God never existed to begin with. Yes. So all of this is in what I call therapy time, because all these characters need therapy. So basically, Faye is encased in carbonite, and it's this extended. He's having his Cloud FF7 moment, basically, because it's spread out over a longer period of the game. And it's him, who is the fourth personality, and Fabi, aka Id, who is bad, and then there's also the coward who hasn't shown yet. So basically, Id is like showing you around, right? He's like, hey, here's some stuff, here's some more stuff, here's some more stuff. So eventually,
hey, this is your life.
Basically. Eventually Faye breaks out of the carbonite, and when he breaks out of the carbonite, we get a return of our favorite young Pennywise shows back up, and he says the stupidest line in this game. Like there are a lot of stupid lines, but I can confidently say that this is the dumbest line in this game. And he's like, what's that? Face stuck in carbonite? Let me pray on his weeping face as if it were an idol! ! Heh, heh, ... As if I would! ! Sure.
Fucking Dan.
It's funny, Sam.
Those are words.
I hate that child.
It's funny, Sam. I'm realizing now that all of the parts that I told you to take notes because I didn't. I actually have screenshots of all of that, and it's all the same screenshots you took, except that we're both just skipping it. We're just like, whatever.
Yeah. I noticed that too, looking through your things. I was like, where did he need me to take notes? Because I'm seeing all this stuff
and I'm seeing literally the same screenshots that you already uploaded. we both took pictures and both independently decided that the stuff wasn't worth talking about.
Yeah. The only other one that's important is the last thing that Faye does before he wakes up, or he thinks about, is he's Lacan and he's going in to talk to Elly or a Miang or something, and he has this custom sprite, and it's the best one, and I'm sad that they saved it till right now. But he's just like shrugging like this back and forth.
This has actually showed up like already in the game, actually. Yeah.
I never noticed it, but it's here for the rest of the game.
And I know about that stupid animation that he has, so I was watching out for it. Yeah, he's used it maybe 2 or 3 times. It's so good.
Yeah, he uses it pretty much every scene from now to the end of the game, and it's so dumb. It's so good.
So Faye, there's also a lot of backstory about how like what happened with Graf. So yeah, so the gist is we were always joking like, is this Faye's dad? Is this Faye's dad? Turns out Graf is not Faye's dad. He's Faye. But yeah, as Sam was saying, turns out you don't have to die in order to get reincarnated. Which is a pretty interesting twist, because it's like, surely this couldn't be Faye, because that's not how reincarnation works. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, when you're thinking of, it's like, okay, well, he fights just like Faye, so he's Faye's master, he's Faye's dad, he's Faye's best friend. You never think he fights just like Faye because he's Faye.
It turns out in this game, literally everybody's Faye. So basically, there's some backstory about how he went far north to the northern crater, and he found the Zohar down there, and he made partial contact with the Zohar, not full contact because he's not the real guy, and he that's what made him all powerful, made him become Graf and stuff. So Faye, after breaking out of the Carbonite, also goes north to make contact with the Zohar. And Party follows him, so they all go north to have this scene. Here at this scene, a lot of wonderful stuff happens. It's actually great, but I'll skip most of it because the only important part is the part with the wave existence. I mean, it's actually all very important, but whatever. There's some really epic cutscenes where like a volcano goes off and the Zohar shows up for the first time, and it's, like I said last time, it's the monolith from 2001, but it's golden and has a weird, like, all-seeing eye in the middle of it. And it turns out that not only does this thing is it an all-powerful generator engine, what happened was when it activated, it gets its energy from a higher plane of existence. It's literally like, oh, this fifth dimension that exists, which is like some ethereal plane, I'm gonna like tap into it and suck that energy and use that energy to make robots. And
which is what energy has always been for. Yeah. It's just to make robots.
Yeah,
so it turns out, though, that when it created this pathway called the Path of Sephiroth to go to the higher plane of existence, it ended up entrapping, basically, a creature or a being called the Wave Existence. And the Wave Existence is the only thing in this game that could literally be called God. Deus is like a god, but he's really he's Lavos from Chrono Trigger. He's a very powerful monster, right? Which I guess in old-timey times is sort of like being God, but in this sense, it's not a god in a spiritual sense, right? He's not supernatural. But the Wave Existence is a higher dimensional, omniscient being. But he doesn't want to be here. He wanted to chill in his higher plane of existence, but now he has been trapped in this vulgar, lower physical plane, and he is trapped in the Zohar. This energy, and he's like, "You need to destroy the Zohar and set me free." Basically, it's cool. It's extremely Gnostic, and that is the important thing that's going on here. The reason, so it turns out Faye, the original Faye, because he's been reincarnated a million times, turns out that when he was on this ship. This ancient ship called the what's it called? What's their ship called?
The Yggdrasil?
No. The actual old-timey ship.
The Babel Tower one.
Yeah. Anyway, it's weird. They say it like twice, and then they don't like keep saying it.
I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever. When he's on the ship, turns out that this random passenger on the ship, this young boy named Abel, ended up weirdly enough making contact with this being. It's like he got too close to the Zohar or something, and he made contact with it. But being a young child, he was scared, and the only thing the young scared child wanted was his mother. So it basically gave this wave existence like it gave it like a nurturing mother's will, because it wanted to be there for Faye. So basically the wave existence is a good guy. He's good. He likes to nurture. Yeah. He wants what's best for humanity. He also wants to not be trapped on this mortal plane anymore. But he's trapped inside of Zohar, which powers Deus, which wants the exact opposite of him. It's cool. And also the reason why Faye is so screwed up was because when he was a kid, he had a bunch of experiments done on him, which I'll go into more later. And the experiments, the wave, he made partial contact with the wave form and with the Zohar, but the energy was way too much, and it contributed to shattering his brain into a zillion pieces.
Is it at this one when he gets his therapeutic breakthrough?
That'll happen in just a moment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't remember if they split that up over a third.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot
phase
of
brain thing or not?
Because he's cross cutting between this and then the party being at the Northern Crater doing shit, right? So then the party shows up, and Graf is also there, and he reveals that he's Faye. And then at some point, Wiseman shows up and reveals that, shocker, he is in fact Faye's dad, because none of us saw that coming.
We've only been calling him Faye's dad for like the entire thing.
Yep. Yeah. And so like this reveal is like more obvious from the very beginning of the game that this is the twist or whatever. And this gets this whole big scene with a big reveal on it, but Lacan never died and is still alive and been Groff. The big like holy crap twist was just like it happened at Tora's house last chapter.
It's actually a much better twist, but it's way less, like it's way more low key. Like this is like we all knew it was Faye's dad. Come on. Well, we especially knew it was Faye's dad after the Graf twist, because we're like, oh, Graf isn't Faye's dad? Okay, that means Wiseman is Faye's dad.
Like the only people left to be Faye's dad is Sigurd and Wiseman, so it's one of the two.
That would have been one of those. Oh, no, that would have been a twist. Yeah, so we now go inside of Faye. Faye is inside of his brain. He's having a time, right? So he's hanging out with Id, and Id is explaining why he wants to kill everyone, because everyone's terrible. And Faye is kind of like, oh, mood, you know? Like, you know what? Maybe destroying everything is good, actually. He's like, Id's making some good arguments. But maybe outside of him, he hears Saitan being like, hey, Faye, remember how we're trying to save Elly? And he's like, that's right. So he gets filled with determination. So a lot of shit happens. And then he ends up like fighting Graf like twice or something. Point is, now we're back inside Faye's brain. And here's where we really get it. We've been beating around the bush the whole game. We finally figure this out. Faye ends up in the room of the coward. That's the room with the old-timey memory of him playing ball with his mom. It's his Rosebud moment, basically. It says that the coward holed himself up in here and so the coward is the original Faye. And he created Id and pushed all those negative emotions onto Id. Anytime something bad happened, the coward would say, hey, Id, you feel these negative emotions. That way I don't have to. And the coward turns around and says, hi, this is my most treasured possession. And
it was like really creepy. Like I know that Id is supposed to be like the evil one, but for some reason, like the coward talking to you, I was just like got like skeevy, like cheap horror movie grossness vibes from him.
So the coward is like, hey, this is my most treasured possession. And the treasured possession is literally just the 5-second loop of him playing ball with his mom, which is basically his Rosebud, which means Xenogears is the Citizen Kane of video games.
That was the Citizen Kane of Citizen Kane comparisons.
It's also the Dark Souls of video games. Is Citizen Kane the Dark Souls?
Yes.
So then there is an astronomical amount of stuff Basically, Faye doesn't have daddy issues. Faye has mommy issues. Faye used to have a normal mom, a normal dad, and a normal mom, but then his mom literally became, what we now realize, became Miang. And whenever his dad would go off to do fights and to do, like, whatever his dad does, like, literally as soon as the dad would leave, the mom would be like, okay, come with me, we're gonna go to Solaris and do fucked up experiments on you. And then they would come back home, and then the dad would come home, and Faye would be like, hey, Dad, my mom's abusing me, and he, like, wouldn't listen or believe her, and it's real. And it's fucked up. And they did so many, and they did experiments because Faye is the reincarnation of he's the important, he's the contact, he's the important reincarnation that is important to their evil plot. So they did all the experiments on him, and all those experiments, that was why he created Id. Because he's like, he dissociated. He's like, Id, you bear all the abuse, and I'm going to go to my happy place. And you do start to feel bad for Id, because you're like, you're a consciousness that was created only to suffer. And while this selfish kid gets to sit in his little room, right? And a lot of stuff happens. You get some flashbacks. Let's see. It turns out that what finally happened was Faye's mom. Faye ended up killing his own mom, and that's because Raph showed up and tried to kidnap Faye. But then Faye went full Id mode and made a big energy beam, and it killed like everybody, and it also killed his mom. But and I don't know if this is the one that I don't know if it was here or later, because I know they hold off on this, but I think they hold off on this till the end of the cutscene. But he does the big explodey thing, and it kills his mom, but it doesn't go towards his mom. But the underlying personality of Karen supersedes the personality of Miang, and so it's the Id power is going to ricochet and come back and kill Faye, and she dives in front to save Faye, and that's the big moment. Is Faye reveals that at the last second, the mom actually turned back into normal and saved Faye from dying, and Id can't believe that. Id's like, no, my mom is just pure evil. I can't believe that would ever happen. But then he comes to believe it, and it's like a very emotional moment. Then some more stuff happens, and long story short, all the different Fays finally come together, and Faye reunifies his psyche, and now he can be a regular guy and save the world. The end.
Huzzah.
Except then... and because he does that, his robot finally becomes the ultimate robot, which is literally called the Xenogears, and it looks cool as hell.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
It's a great design. It's got like 10 billion. It's like when Goku goes even more Super Saiyan and his hair just gains more spikes than it had before. It gets bigger and more spikes. Like the little wings,
super duper.
Like the wings on the back of the wings on the back of the Weltall are basically like Super Saiyan hair, and it becomes white and gains more wings and spikes because it becomes Ultra. So yeah. Not only does it look cool as hell, but it is OP as shit. It just does a zillion damage and is awesome all the time. Then there's actually another really good twist, actually. Because Faye's like, hey, Dad, this is after you defeated Graf, by the way. You killed... Or no, you didn't kill Graf, sorry. Graf's gone. He's not in the scene. So Wiseman's there. And Faye's like, Dad, I finally became good. I'm no longer Id. Oh, yeah, that's right. So Id and Wiseman had a long fight scene. That was awesome. It was a cutscene, not playable. They had a fight scene. But once Faye reunifies himself, he's like, Dad, I'm me again. And he's like... I'm proud of you, son. Now we are a family again. But then...
You're gonna keep making that reference.
But then an actual really good twist happens. Wiseman, grabs Faye and holds him really tight, and then he transforms, and it turns out that Graf and Wiseman are the same guy. And that actually...
This was really
not
cool.
A total assful, because earlier when we said that the whole how could Faye reincarnate without dying, it's because Graf didn't literally never die. Graf learned how to transfer his consciousness. So for the last 500 years, he's just been jumping from mind to mind through different bodies. Turns out,
sort of Miang-like.
Yeah, sort of Miang-like, except he learned how to do it on his own, instead of it just being like an inherent piece of reality. So it turns out that we have this one guy who is actually Faye from the past. This other guy who is Faye's dad. Turns out we've never seen them in the same place at the same time. And the whole time, Wiseman just is Graf. Graf took over Wiseman's mind, took over Faye's... So 500 years ago, Faye's brain, spirit, took over Faye's dad's body, and that's what it is. I think the idea is that it goes in and out. Like, I think sometimes Faye's dad thinks he is being Faye's dad, and other times he's actually the dormant Graf takes hold. Anyway...
Yeah, it says that explicitly at the end of the scene, I think
so. Faye's his own father.
Yes.
Yeah.
His father? You mean...
Which is somehow worse than his own grandpa.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Turns out that the reason Graf became Wiseman was because what Graf really wanted to do was beat Faye. Because he wanted to have his own body back, basically. So he wanted to become his own descendant. So he's like, okay, Faye, now I'm going to put my mind into your body so that ancient Lacan can become modern Faye. So basically just everyone just wants to be or already is Faye. And so I'm like, what idiot called this game Xenogears and not I want to be the same guy? So then
I want to make that game now.
I want to be the same guy.
I want to be the same guy.
You just absorb everybody else. That's like Katamari Damacy. You're like a giant Fae, and you're rolling up all the small Faes.
It's like Katamari.
Exactly. So at any rate, so then he tries to fight Faye, right? Like the person who is Graf, but also Wiseman tries to fight Faye, and Faye's basically like, back when I thought you were just me, I was going to kick your ass, but now that I know you're also my dad, I could never kick my dad's ass. I can only kick my own ass. So he's conflicted. And then Graf is like, they're like, dude, Graf, why don't you just like, why don't we just destroy, why don't we just kill Deus? Like, whatever. We're on the same side. We both want to destroy Deus. And he's like, no, actually, Miang will keep being reincarnated, so the cycle of history and violence and war will continue. The only way to stop it is to destroy everything. And I'm like, that seems counterproductive, but okay. And he thinks that Miang is the true body of Deus. He's like, no, Deus is not that monster. Deus is Miang. And Faye's like, no, Elly and Miang and Karen were all regular humans born on this planet. Like, they are humans with human dignity and stuff, and then Deus fucked them up. Deus is the real bad guy here. Yeah, then the Zohar tries to absorb Faye, because the Zohar is like, actually, I want to be the guy. But Lacan, and that's because Faye was the first piece of the Zohar to be separated, aka being that little boy. When that little boy made contact with the Zohar, he gained the first little bit of the wave existence's brain inside of his brain. Anyway, basically, not Lacan. What's Faye's dad's name? Khan. No. Khan is Ramses.
No.
Whatever. There's too many dads.
Ramses is Karam.
That's right. You're right. Kar and Khan. Yeah. So Khan, Faye's actual dad, his consciousness came back at the end, and basically, instead of Faye being absorbed by the Zohar, he jumps in and it's like, I'm going to be absorbed by the Zohar. I'll only make partial contact, but it'll buy you time to escape. Yeah. And they escape. And then now that she's merged with Deus, Elly will have all of her genetic memories forever, which means Elly now remembers being Faye's mom. And since Miang is in all women, it turns out that Faye's the number one woman respecter here, because he's not just going to rescue one woman, he's going to rescue all women.
Hashtag yes all women.
Exactly. Hashtag yes all. Gonna save every woman in the world. Yeah. Then there's some more plot that doesn't matter. Actually, I already said it earlier. The stuff about how Abel, the little boy, survived the crash. One hilarious thing. They're talking about how there's genetic memory, right? There's a certain line where someone, maybe Miang, maybe Faye, who knows, is like, humans can't normally store memories in their genes. But this is different. And I appreciated that because genetic memory is the most bullshit pseudoscience thing ever. So I love how one of the characters acknowledges, like, no, this isn't actually how it works, except for in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that back in the day, right?
Yeah, which is so weird.
Yeah, back when they didn't know anything about science, they thought maybe genes stored memories, and then they eventually learned enough about science to realize that that's stupid. But yeah, so they kind of like... It's almost like Takahashi being like, guys, I know that's not how it works, just... Okay? God, that's finally all of the plot. The only plot left here is now to defeat the final boss.
Yeah, so this is the point of no return. Go and do side quests where we actually get to play Xenogears instead of watching Xenogears.
You get to go to the world map. It's great.
Yeah.
So both of y'all...
While I was gone, did y'all describe Deus's big, like, transformation, blow up the surface scene?
We're not there yet. Oh, wait, no, that's, like, right now.
Yeah, that's like right now.
No, actually, it's not. Sorry, there's a little bit more plot, actually, remember? There's a little bit more.
You liar!
Sorry. So right now... So right now, Deus is still flying in the sky inside of Merkava.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some fucking cool-ass cutscenes here that don't matter, but whatever. So they're on the Yggdrasil, and they're like, if we destroy the Zohar modifier, all the gears...
Oh, yeah.
Go, yeah, this part...
This is so cool.
Part is so good. So they're basically like, if we destroy the Zohar modifier, all the gears and ether powers will go away, and Deus and the Seraphim will all die. Why do the Seraphim look like this? They have this dumb little thing where, like, the Zohar modifier uses, like, waveform, like, uncertainty. It's like quantum uncertainty, so it changes when it's observed, which is, like, a real thing. The Seraph's existence is determined by its observers, so the Seraphs are probably made of the souls of the people Deus absorbed, whatever. Here's something interesting. The Seraphim are supposed to just absorb, and Deus are supposed to just absorb all the mutated humans and destroy all the regular humans. But they're absorbing everyone indiscriminately, which isn't how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Turned out it has a unique will, perhaps a mother's will, and it wants to bring it wants everything it created to return to its womb. And they wonder if maybe that came from Elly, but it totally is not Elly, it's the way of existence that is making it do that. So here they discuss how to win. Like, how are we going to destroy this thing? So they have this stupid, complicated plan.
Like, this is the most Doctor Who-ass shit in this entire game. I'm just like, we only have one chance to do this, which we only had one chance before, and Billy fucked it up. So I really was expecting this to go south and not expecting it to win.
So Merkava has an impenetrable energy shield, and a particle cannon, and a bunch of Seraphim. So, also, by the way, Tara says, hey, I analyzed Xenogears, and I used that information to make everyone's robots better. So everyone's robot is really good now. And they're like, cool. So it turns out the shield goes down for about 1.5 seconds after the cannon fires. To stop the cannon, you have to slip in through that gap. But the only way to slip in through that gap is to fly directly at the cannon. So Bart's plan is, like, we're going to literally tie... You know how that entire town turned into Yggdrasil 4?
Yeah.
Well, he's like, what if we tied the entire Yggdrasil 4 and Excalibur, which is the Shavat mothership? What if we literally just, like, tied them together with duct tape?
With giant zip ties.
And couple their Basically, we make a Wii by taking two GameCubes and duct taping them together. We couple their generators, and then they can make... Well, first they're like, well, we could make a shield that lasts for 20 seconds. And they're like, well, 20 seconds isn't enough to just withstand the laser. And they're like, okay, well, if we couple their shields, then the two generators, then they can make a shield that lasts for 40 seconds. But someone else is like, but then we'll have no energy left to make it go. If all the energy is going towards the shield, how do we actually fly at the bad guy? And they're like, okay, well, we found these two giant-ass rockets. Let's just tie the rockets onto the back with duct tape. And
but in the FMV, it's not even tied on the back. You just have the giant fucking Yggdrasil 4 just holding them like a badass. Yep. It's so good.
So we're gonna shoot ourselves at it with rockets. We're going to cram the Yggdrasil for 40 seconds. Then we're going to cram the Yggdrasil into the cannon's maw. And then the Excalibur will use its guns to shoot the Yggdrasil. And the Yggdrasil's generator, which is, again, a nuclear power reactor that is an entire town, will explode. And then the cannon will die. But then someone else is like, wait, but the shield... is only a forward directional shield because we got to point it directly at the laser. So that means the rest of it's defenseless. So they also need gears to defend it from Seraphim. They're like, okay, well, all of us will be in our gears defending you. And then Faye says, quote, "This is the final battle." And I'm like, thanks for clarifying, Faye. So this is not playable. You don't have to do a defense mission as the gears. It's just a cutscene. It turns out they overdid it.
By, like, a lot.
Like, they meant to destroy the Zohar modifier, and that's it, but, like, they actually were too good at blowing up the bad guy.
They were planning to just disable the cannon, since they were flying in, they would walk in and just, like, unplug the Zohar modifier, but they accidentally blew up the entire fucking Merkava.
Yeah, it turns out that Merkava itself had, like, a huge because remember, Merkava is a piece of the ancient spaceship Eldridge. Turns out they blew up the Eldridge's power reactor, which is an entire spaceship's power reactor, not just the Yggdrasil's power reactor. So it makes the biggest goddamn explosion on the face of the planet. And they're like, oops. And that's actually bad because they're like, oh god, we meant to just blow a hole to the final boss, but we may have accidentally killed the final boss already and also killed Elly. Oops. But luckily, they didn't kill the final boss or Elly. Deus just transforms into his final form, which is a giant, like, mini cities sized. It looks like Sin from FF10. Liquid metal monster, Chaos, the god of destruction. And it starts terraforming the entire planet. And it's like, all right, I'm going to turn the entire planet into, like, glass, basically. And they're like, this is even worse than it was before. So, yeah. But they have destroyed all the defenses. So literally all they gotta do now is go in there and kill it. Which is hard, but at least it's doable. Yeah. Then they retreat back to their base on Hoth. So there's a final town in this game. It's the Snowfield base. I think it is maybe the best town in the game. I love the design of it. I love all the NPCs. Every NPC designs from every other town in the game have come together in this town because everyone in the world is coming together to put aside their differences and live in this one town because the population of the entire world is like 200 people now. Yeah. But it's
thankfully
cool.
It's all the named characters from the game. The only people that...
it's all the people we know, so it's fine.
Yeah. We had a bunch of NPCs, but all the random NPCs are like, it's like character models from Ave, from Kislev, from Shabbat, from Solaris. It's cool. And there's children running around everywhere. There's this really cool room. It's like a command center where everyone's at computers doing command center meetings, but the kids are running around the whole time. And they're like, God, these kids are annoying. And they're like, yeah, but like the kids are literally what we're fighting for. There's this one mom who is at a computer, like presumably typing and doing work, and next to the mom is sitting on the desk, is sitting on the, like right next to her on the bench is her kid sitting next to her. It's cute. So, at this point, there's a bunch of side quests. Some of them give you some really good equipment that's super OP that you need to beat the game, and then you go and you beat the game. There is one very, very important plot side quest that takes place in Zaboam. Did y'all two do that?
Yeah, the YouTube videos I was watching did it, and it was really cool.
Nice.
I didn't see the Zaboam one. I just did the lighthouse.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That's what that is. That's
Zaboam.
Yeah. So you go in... so you go to a lighthouse, and you go underground in the lighthouse, and you're in the ancient Zaboam civilization that we saw briefly earlier, where we got Emeralda, and it's like a city. Like you're in your gears, but it's like a modern day looking city with streets and parking lots and like apartment complexes and high rises. And
all I knew was I got to be like Godzilla.
Yeah, you're like Godzilla. And so what happens is you're going around in your robots, and then you'll see like a little bitty door to like a building, and you get out of your gears and you go in the building, and it's like, oh, this is a hotel. Oh, this is a restaurant or something. It's cool. You meet Joe, who has the best shop in the game. Yeah. He sells an accessory that makes your gears just insanely powerful.
I bought 6 of them.
I bought 4 of them, but that's enough to shuffle around my characters. Or 3 rather. Yeah, it's like it literally just increases your attack power by like 350 or something.
Jesus Christ.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then you can also buy a Z charger, which makes it where when you charge, instead of going up by 10, your fuel goes up by 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's extremely expensive. I can only afford one. No, I can afford 0, but you actually get one in this dungeon.
Nice.
And you can also get, Sam, that's why you can buy armor. That's why you can buy an even better power generator that only has 1,000 fuel.
Yeah.
It's like, you only have 1,000 fuel, but it's insanely strong, and you can
charge up half of it.
Every time you use charge. Yeah. I did not go that route. I decided I can't quite afford that. I'm going to go with just buy those accessories that you're going to have at 350, buy one for each dude, buy one Z charger, and that's all I can afford. I don't feel like grinding. Hope for the best, right?
So defeating Hammer the correct way, quote unquote, gives you a thing called a trader card.
Yep.
And what I did was I equipped the trader card onto Bart, and then I went around in the snowy areas and did some farming. And anytime I would come up across a pack of 2 or 3 of the really small guys, it was specific mobs, and I can't remember their names, but as long as I had someone with a trader card equipped, they would always drop golden berets or golden vests.
Yeah, I read about that, yeah.
And they would drop like 2 to 3 of them. So I just went around killing a whole bunch of those, and there was one point where I started with 140,000 gold, and in like 45 minutes of grinding, doubled my money.
Damn.
Nice.
Eli, did you get the speed shoes?
Yes, I did.
God, I wish I had the fucking
and
trader
I put
card.
them on Saitan.
It's amazing. Wait, did you get more than one of them?
No, I only got one.
Dude,
one
so since you had the trader card, if you go to the area around Tara's forest house and go in the forest, there's a mob that drops speed shoes.
Oh wow!
So Sam, speed shoes are the most OP shit ever. It you know boost mode, like that thing you can do.
Yeah.
If you equip speed shoes, you're just always in boost mode, and it doesn't cost fuel.
That's good.
It's ridiculous.
So
That's
it's
real good.
Magnificently OP. You get if you didn't kill Hammer the right way ages ago in the fucking game, then you can only get one instead of infinite.
Yeah, I didn't know about going back to that forest to get more speed,
which I wasn't about to do.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I gave it to Faye, obviously, right?
Yeah, the video I was watching, he went to go battle at Kislev, and I'm like, I don't even want to watch this. I just skipped.
If you battle at Kislev, you can get a lot of amazing items as well. So yeah, it's really cool. You know what? So I just noticed one of our guests left, which I mean, not like you know what? No, fuck you. You're banned from our podcast. I'm just kidding.
Wow,
that's our son. You can't tell our son.
That's our son, you bastard.
No, Matthew's still here. No. I was about to say it's fine, and we don't. Obviously, you gotta go. It's late, but I don't want more people to leave. Wait. Oh.
Essie's the only one here.
Oh,
everybody left.
My phone said that Matt was here until 2 seconds ago.
Oh no! All we have left is Essie.
Okay, sorry. So we got some surprises that we should share while it's live. So as you get to the surprise. So here's the thing. I've had a rough 3 months. My wife / spouse actually, leaves me, right? It's sad. It's a big hullabaloo. At first I'm really sad about it. Then I start realizing maybe it's for the best. Maybe it wasn't the best relationship. Blah, 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 blah. I'm healing. I'm learning about myself. A lot of things. Then I had a Xenogears / Final Fantasy VII moment where I went inside my brain and there were like 4 of me. And it was very confusing, and I talked to my id, and I went to a little into a little room where I watched a little video over and over, except the video was Speed Racer 2008. And then I listened.
Was it the entire movie?
It was the entire movie.
Did you watch the entire movie?
I listened to Anoni, and then I listened to Anoni a lot, and then I listened to this one Mountain Goat song. This is all made up, by the way. This is a joke. These are real things that I like, but I didn't actually do all these things. Anyway, and then my entire self became reunified, and except unlike Faye, I didn't reunify with I didn't have the power of God and heteronormativity on my side. Yeah, I'm trans.
Yay!
So that's the big announcement for me.
Sam, you're the last remaining cishet on the podcast.
It's been a month and 1 day. since all this shit happened, since I got this shit figured out. Something that's been been in development since like 2016 or 2015, and I finally figured things out, and it's really amazing and exciting. And I am Maddie now.
Yay!
And here's another
11.
interesting.
Did I tell y'all that? Did I tell y'all I locked that down? I forgot to tell y'all that.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, I hadn't made any decisions about pronouns. Well, I had a decision. I just wasn't ready to do it yet. I hadn't told anyone to do like different pronouns or name because I wasn't sure about the name, because I was like, I should probably put more thought into this, right? I shouldn't just go with the first thing I think of. But for reasons I won't go into here because it's too long-winded, I did decide to go with the first thing that I thought of. But it's a good name. So Maddie. Don't know the middle name yet. I am going to put a lot of thought into that one. I didn't have any previous ideas, so no. I thought of that.
And an interesting thing we found out too, Maddie is the same age that I was when I came out as trans.
Yay!
Which is pretty awesome.
So,
which made me feel good.
Yeah,
better
that was
about
6
it.
years ago now for me.
Yeah. Another fun. So I could do like what politicians do with my middle name. I could be like Maddie, the Constitution. Weapon, or like Maddie, lower taxes weapon, or like
I had someone trying to convince me that I should change my middle name to Tiger.
I should change my middle name to like Medicare for all. Maddie Maddie DSA.com/join weapon.
Maddie, we won't be erased.
Maddie, Star Wars Episode 1 is the best Star Wars movie. Weapon.
Wow.
Or if I wanted to name myself after a popular messaging app that a lot of queer people like to use, I could be Maddie Line. No, sorry, that's enough of that. So that's me, Maddie Webben, she, her, please. But you can just keep calling me Spiffle because I'm Spiffle. So that's
Yay,
news.
Spiffle.
We have some other news too. If you'd like to hear the news, Essie.
Yeah.
Unless they want to wait till the end.
Essie said yes. So this happened last week when I was like, we have 4 surprises, and then I couldn't remember them, and I also just forgot and can't remember our surprises. So there's one that's really cool, is I actually made the merch store again. It's finally real, and what's really cool about the merch store is, and I'm trying to go to it to make sure that I'm not wrong, but it's it's shop.spreadshirt.com/RPG book club. So it's not a mouthful this time, so we can plug it at the end of each episode, which is great.
Yay!
But so there's that one, and then also I haven't fully nailed this one down, so this could not be real, but I was talking with our the fourth dad of the podcast. Well, I guess now third dad of the podcast.
We have a mommy now.
We have a mommy too. But and so I was talking with Rizzo, and he was like, "Man, I really miss the podcast, and I want to come back." And I was like, "Well, we're about to start Legend of Dragoon," and he's like, "I'm on it, son. So we should have Rizzo back starting next week."
Yes.
Which is so dope. And
another tentative announcement that isn't confirmed is that we might have another guest, not a permanent guest. It'll be a temporary guest because 5 people is too much.
Yeah.
I might have asked this person to be a permanent guest if we didn't also have Rizzo coming, so never mind. I won't do that. Also, I don't think she could do it with her schedule anyway. But if we can finagle it, we'll have a 5-person episode at some point, probably in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That won't be chaotic, and I will totally get plenty of time to talk.
That's why we're doing Google Hangouts now.
Just yell just yell a whole bunch.
I don't know if you've noticed, but you've been able to talk a lot today.
Just start hollering and don't stop hollering for the entire 2 hours.
I can't do that. It's like physically impossible for me to just keep talking when someone else is talking and they won't let me. Like they just won't stop. I'm just like, all right, well, I guess I better just shut up because no one's gonna if I don't.
Aw, well. You can, I don't know. I'm just holler, holler at you.
It's fine. It's fine.
Although now it would be like, hey, wow, a man is silencing a woman.
Fuck.
I'm kidding.
Don't turn that around on me.
I swear to God, I would never do that. That would be awful.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah,
all the announcements.
That was 4, so I think that was all of them.
Okay, cool. I was really excited to share my news, obviously, and I wish I had interrupted the podcast to do it before everyone left.
It's okay. They're all in the Discord congratulating you. As Essie passed it along, and everyone's happy for you.
Yay! Good. Thank you, Essie.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So
let's end this damn game.
Yeah, so what happens in Zaboam is no real plot information that we didn't kind of already know. You just get some real first-hand information about how Emeralda was created. You do get a nice little Christmas scene where there's a big Christmas Christmas tree, which is cool. I love all of the design of this dungeon and this area. It's all beautiful and extremely interesting. Turns out...
it's very, very much like these are people who only recently came to this planet because it looks very much like our world.
Yeah, it's really freaking cool. It's
weird seeing Faye in a business suit.
Yeah. I think that Faye in a business suit is actually really cute, but I do think that the bottom tier Faye is Faye in a doctor's or scientist outfit.
Yeah.
That is the worst.
Yeah.
Business,
especially because it's sprites, you only can tell it's Faye because they keep his long, stupid ponytail no matter what he's doing.
Yep. Reincarnated for a zillion years, but never gets better fashion sense.
Right?
So yeah, it turns out that this world had a slipping economy, ... rising crime, ... urban blight. So Zaboam was just America, circa 2018. They also could not stop having wars, and people kept rallying behind fascist dictators, basically. Turns out Miang was the girlfriend of the prime minister and used her evil feminine wiles, because that's how this game is, to make bad things happen. Also, at some point, I guess because of all the wars, everyone stopped being able to have kids because their genes got fucked up. Yeah, so it's a really cool children of men situation.
Yeah, it talked about how because of radiation and shit from the wars, and also genetic tampering to be try and stay alive longer, they accidentally made everyone sterile.
Yeah,
which is cool.
So it's this really cool, again, extremely interesting backstory that I wish we got more of. So Faye and Elly decide to save their society by creating, because no one can have kids, by being able to create organisms, creating some GMOs, right? Genetically modified organisms. So they make Emeralda, and Elly just wants to have a good time at Christmas, but Kim is mad about violence. I think there were some terrorists who were being oppressed by the government, and he's they're terrorists, and Elly was well, that's the only way they have to express themselves. They're being oppressed by the government. And I think they blew up a reactor, and it made the hospital that Faye worked at lose power, and then a kid died. I don't know. Faye, aka Kim, says everyone's stupid because humans are wiping themselves out. But then Elly is I'm infertile, actually. Am I also stupid? So then Kim feels bad. So then they make Emeralda. And then real Emeralda remembers all this and realizes that this person is not actually her real dad. It's just a reincarnation of her dad. But she thanks Faye for being a surrogate dad for her, and then they hug, and then with the power of friendship and hugging
and nanomachines,
Emeralda instantly grows up into being an adult.
Yeah.
She goes from being half-size Sprite to being full-size Sprite, and she has completely new moves and is super OP, and she was in my final battle party.
Yeah, she was in mine too.
She's cool as hell.
Pretty dope.
Yeah, she's cool as hell. That's it. Yeah. So you go to the final dungeon. You go through the dungeon. It's relatively lengthy, but not too lengthy. And you fight the final boss.
One thing I thought was great is I think it's the beginning of the dungeon. It at least was the first part that they showed me, but it's vertical and you're falling to get through the dungeon.
Yeah.
And I was it was Xenogears Dream Drop's Distance. It was Xenogears Dream Drop Distance.
Wait, is that a reference to the actual content of the game or just because you're dropping?
To the actual content. You go from world to world by falling into it, which is really cool.
I didn't know that. Is that the Dream Drop?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're going the distance
Yeah, you're going for speed.
I don't even like that song.
God, I love that song.
I like Cake's first album. I think it's a fantastic album, and I kind of don't like anything they made after that.
Yeah.
Weird.
I found Cake in the Napster generation, so I like a collection of Cake songs, and I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what albums they come from. I know Short Skirt and Long Jacket, because anytime I went to a church youth convention, they would play that during the dance.
Nice.
Okay, there's a bunch of good Cake songs that aren't from their first album, but there's also the first album's the only one that I like all the way through.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you do the Sonic Adventure 2 thing where you go down these tunnels. You have to do that twice. It's cool. I think it's fun. Yeah. The dungeons.
You gotta dodge the lasers.
Yeah, I managed to dodge every single one because I got skills. They probably do like 1 damage. Who gives a shit?
The power of Undertale helped me.
Nice. The final battle is interesting. You're in this area, and there's these orbs, and there's 4 orbs, and basically you can fight the boss right away, or you can defeat the 4.
They're angels.
Guardians.
Yeah, the guardian seraph things.
Oh, I was trying to make a stupid Breath of the Wild reference. What are those damn guardians called?
Oh, they're called guardians.
Yeah, guardian beasts.
Yeah, if you defeat the 4 guardian beasts, then it'll cut Ganon. They'll make a big laser and cut Deus's health bar in a quarter, right? That's basically what works. Every sub boss that you beat, it means that Deus is no longer able to use that ability, and also it does have less health. So I think it goes from having 75,000 health to having 40,000 health. And also again, it can't use some powerful moves.
Yeah, since I was watching at this point because I never wanted to go and do that 10-hour week twice. But so I was watching this guy, and for some reason he didn't cut out here towards the end. Like it was just a long play and not even the story cut for like the whole last dungeon. And so he goes into each of these things, and Saitan is like, hey, Faye, you're going to fight the last boss alone. I can't tell you that that's what's going to happen because my character couldn't possibly know it, but it's my gameplay job to tell you to not fight any of these battles, okay? Here's a blue spinny thing, switch out. The person didn't do it. Faye died in like the first one, and he never changed his party and just like slumped through the first 4 and then still somehow beat the game. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
you should be dead, sir.
It's really fucking cool how they do it actually, because you have 8 party members in this game, including Faye. And so there's no save point here or heal point, but there is a party switch point. So how much of the game you have to replay when you get a game over on Deus is kind of up to you. If you go to Deus and fight him right away, then you're replaying about 5 minutes of gameplay. If you fight 4 sub-bosses and then Deus and die, you're replaying significantly more of the game. The first time I tried, but the thing is, you can swap Faye out. So it's literally like, put your entire B team in your party, use your B team to beat the 4 mini bosses, then put in your A team and fight Deus. Yeah. Which is cool. But again, you don't fuck it up because it takes a long time.
I was switching out party members a couple of times.
Yeah, so the first time I tried it, it took me 2 tries to beat this, which is pretty nice. I put in my B team, which I think was Bart, Billy, Battlestar Galactica. No, Bart, Billy, and Maria, actually, who's on my B team now because she got replaced by Emeralda. The reason is because Emeralda has to be in your party for all the Boehm stuff, and because she was there, she gained a lot of levels. So so anyway, that's my B team, and my B team managed to beat 3 out of the 4 sub bosses, but the third one was really rough. I almost died. So then,
I didn't even bother with the 4th one. I did Nundle, Harloot, and Marloot.
Those are the 3 I did as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bother with Metatron.
So I beat the first 3, and then I thought I cannot beat the 4th one with this party. So what I did was I made not even my B team, my C team, which is what's her ass? Luffy, aka Choo Choo, who I had not used the entire game, and
Rico.
But then I needed another one. So I decided, you know what? Xenogears, Faye, is way OP and has a shit ton of fuel. I'll just do Rico, Luffy, and Faye. And he'll lose some fuel, but probably not that much. And I also gave him the Z Charger, thinking I'll make sure he's charged up by the time the battle's over. So I fight Metatron, and I game over. On fucking Metatron. Because it turns out I vastly underestimated how underpowered Rico and Luffy were. They were doing... I think Luffy was doing 0 damage. And Rico was doing not much. It turns out Metatron's not even that hard of a fight. At least it's not supposed to be. He's like the easiest or second easiest of the 4. So, second time around, I'm thinking, okay, ideally the strategy is you just beat 1 or 2, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then like every bit helps, right? Instead, I just made a beeline for days. I'm just like, fuck it. So I do. The thing is, if you equip the right equipment, you're doing like 8,000 damage on a death blow, on like a triangle death blow.
Yeah.
So I'm like 50, 60,000 health. I do the math. I'm like, that's not that much health when you're doing that much damage. So I just fucking tried him, and I beat him with Emeralda and Saitan dead, and Faye had about 3,000 health. Basically, if the bad guy had decided to use his strongest attack, I would have lost. But he did not use it after that point. Oh, also, Faye had, I think, about 400 fuel left. And did not have a Z Charger, mind you. So yeah, I beat him literally by the fucking skin of my teeth, but I did. It was awesome, actually. It kicked ass.
So the way that I did this, I originally went in and I had forgotten to upgrade everyone who was on my B team.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure.
And so like I get into the fight with Metatron and immediately like it's bad. It's real bad. Maybe I think it was Harloot first that I got into the fight with, and I said Noondle earlier. I meant Sundel.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't remember the names of them, so whatever.
I got into the fight with Harloot first, which is the one that stops 2 of your 3 party members for several turns. And Rico kept being the one who was up.
Oh no!
But he did such garbage damage because his gear wasn't upgraded, and so I was like, well, this isn't going to work out. I'm going to reset. I'm going to go grind some. So I went and did that. And then the next time I tried, that was when I got into the Metatron fight first. And I started going through it, and Metatron was doing too much damage. So it was like, okay, we're going to restart one more time. And this time I got, I think it was Marloot is the one on the floor. First.
That's a weird fight. It's cool though.
Yeah, it's just like a big angel rune. It looks like a Naru rune.
It's like it's like literally like a 2-dimensional drawing on the floor. Because it's on the floor, it fights.
You can't use death blows.
Yeah, because it fights like a
regular
enemy.
size
All you can do is
mob,
stomp them with your feet.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
cool.
just stomping this fucking chalk drawing on the sidewalk.
Chalk zone.
And even if you get to infinity level, you can't use the infinity level death blows. You're still just stomping on it, which is annoying. But I got through that, and I had actually taken Bart, Maria, and Choo Choo for it, or Snoo Snoo in my case. Still the best name. So I had taken Bart, Maria, and Snoo Snoo, and while Snoo Snoo didn't do any damage, she can heal gears, sort of.
Oh.
It's not great healing, but she was doing like 1,900
it's non-trivial.
health back. Yeah, so it was helpful for saving some fuel.
Yeah.
And then I kept taking Bart to Harloot and to Sundel, and so Bart's fuel was getting real fucking low. But I kept Snoo Snoo in my group to keep him healed up. And eventually Snoo Snoo ended up dying. But I was like, whatever, I don't care about you anyway, you stupid rabbit thing. What did I say to Ruth earlier? Because Ruth was watching me fight. She came over to my house before we went to the movies. She was watching me fight, and I was like, I really hate these things. They're like Moogles, except awful. So But sorry, not to be a negative boy about it.
No, I mean, there's a reason I didn't use Luffy until literally the final battle. And as part of my C team, not even my B team.
No, she's bad. She's bad. But I mean, at least she could heal my gears without using up fuel. So I got through those, and then I was like, I am, like, running on fumes with Bart, who's my best B team, and Maria is down for the count. Like, she wasn't dead, but she was in too poor condition to use her. And Rico's not going to be very helpful. I'm just going to skip Metatron and see how this goes.
Yeah.
And I went and I kicked Deus's ass.
Nice.
And yeah, even with Metatron still up, it was not too big a deal. All of his other shit was sealed, so I was fine.
Yep.
Nice.
And honestly, it's kind of funny, though. None of the attacks that are sealed are as big of a deal as his actual attacks.
Yeah.
So, like, really, you're doing it for the HP. That's the reason. It's because
that's mainly it.
Like literally, all the attacks, like sucking your 400 fuel away. That's not that big of a deal when you have a zillion fuel. Attack that hurts everyone for like 3,000 or 4,000. Okay, Deus's normal attack hits everyone for 9,000.
The fuel sucking thing would have been a problem for me because I had Saitan with the fuel that the 1,000 fuel.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I didn't put a Z charger on him because I wanted to keep the HP restore.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Item, the gear fixing item, and I had 2 of the items that gave him buff to his damage.
You had 2 of them? Oh my god, he must have been doing.
He was doing over 11k damage on a level 1 death blow.
That's phenomenal. I never got up that high. I was doing 9,999. The cool thing is at that point there's no reason to use level 2 or 3s. You just do level 1 because they're doing such astronomical damage. Anyway.
Right. I actually don't know how he got past 9,999 because I thought that was the max.
There's a damage cap that I was not able to exceed, but it is possible to exceed it. I think maybe for you, maybe it's just like if your attack bar goes over a certain amount or something. Who knows?
So what it is, because it's death blows. The first couple thousand was from just his triangle, and then the second one was a 9,999 from the other.
Each move wasn't doing 9,999.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
Oh, so the time when I did 9,999 I must have missed my first hit.
Yeah.
Missed my first hit and then maxed out on the death blow. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's what's cool about that is because, like, at that point, if your death blow is doing if your level 1's doing 8,000 and your level 2 would do 11,000, that's just wasted damage that you can't actually do. So you only just do level 1s after that point, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that's a good strat. I thought of stacking them, like, on Faye, but instead I gave Faye and Saitan and Emeralda were all doing solid damage, so I gave each of them 1.
Question.
Because I had 1 on Faye and 1 on Emeralda as well.
You had 2 on Saitan. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had 2 on Saitan, and he had the speed shoes, so he was a very fast boy.
I put the speed shoes on Faye, that way he could keep up with Saitan, but you're just like, no, what if he was even faster?
Yeah. It was
Jesus.
Well, and also, because I gave him that one that only had 1,000 fuel, I was like, I want to make sure that he doesn't have to boost because he's going to run out of fuel if I boost with him.
Right.
But yeah, Saitan's always, for me, I'm like, Saitan's a fast boy. Let's make him the fastest boy.
You basically made Saitan like what's his name? You basically made him like Fry when he drinks the 100th cup of coffee.
He drinks 100 cups of coffee.
That's basically what it was.
Exactly it. He just became enlightened and moved.
Saitan's the one who's really ascending to a higher plane of existence here.
Yeah.
Not Faye.
Exactly.
So, anyway, point is, you whooped Deus' ass. I did not, but I also did it a lot faster because I didn't even bother with the...
Yeah, because you didn't bother with the angels.
I was go big or go home, and it was a risk, and it worked, and I felt really good about myself.
Oh, nice. I'm glad it worked for you. I was too scared.
It was very scary, and I was like, oh god, I made a terrible decision. So after you defeat it, they're just like...
So, real quick, unimportant, and I probably should have asked this back when it happened. When Saitan gets his on-foot sword, does he also get a giant sword for his gear?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
In fact, so after you beat the Voltron version of the elements, they drop their sword.
Okay.
Kishin sword.
Okay.
You can pick it up and you can equip it on Saitan. In the hideaway where everybody is, there is an NPC who will upgrade that sword to do, like, it goes up to, like, plus 200.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, hey, you know how this character is already the most OP character? What if I just made him even more OP by giving him an even better sword?
Right, which is why I beefed the fuck out of Saitan.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good strat. I considered it and then didn't go with it.
Is the golden shiny side quest sword a gear sword or a Saitan sword?
I didn't do the golden shiny side quest.
I didn't do that one either.
Yeah, because there's two side quests, right? The one that's like the desert, the Dune Lord or whatever, and then the lighthouse. And I only did lighthouse because I didn't want to waste any more time.
I would guess that it's a Saitan sword just because the Kijin sword that you get from upgrading the Kishin sword from the elements is so fucking powerful that there'd be no reason to have another gear sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, there's no reason to have
or maybe maybe Takahashi just is the same thought of Eli. And it's like, well, Saitan's already awesome. Why don't we give him another badass sword?
Yeah. It's good shit. So you beat him, and they're like, we did it. We defeated the Zohar modifier. And then they're outside of Deus, and they're like, cool, what happens now? And all their gears stop moving, and they're like, this isn't bad. We expected this, right? All the magic is leaving from the earth. And, oh no, now is Terra going to die, or is she going to turn into a full human? Nobody knows. That's a fucking good ass, man. What a good game. Anyway.
It's such a good game.
The funny thing is, this entire scene, they're like, our gears aren't moving. The whole fucking scene, Faye's gear is still moving. It's like doing its idle animation, whereas everyone else is not moving.
And you don't even, like, I didn't even notice it.
To comment on it.
I didn't even notice it until someone talked about it. I'm like, oh my god. It's not just bad graphics, it's on purpose.
Scene. I was like, is nobody noticing that Faye's gear is doing its idle animation, hovering up and down?
Like, I saw that it was moving. I just thought it was graphics, not plot.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so they're not moving. And then what happens is the Deus starts exuding astronomical amounts of energy, and Saitan's like, oh cool, the wave existence is leaving the Zohar and is going to go to the higher plane of existence just like he wanted. And then Saitan's like, wait, shit, this dimensional distortion is creating enough energy to destroy the entire planet. Oops. And they're like, well, this isn't good, we literally can't do anything about it. But then we have liftoff. The entire Deus orb starts hovering in the air, and very slowly over the course of this cutscene, getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it flies away. And they're basically saying it's going to fly off into space. It's doing a end of Avengers 1. Where it's gonna, where it's gonna.
I was thinking of Poochie from The Simpsons.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. My home planet needs me. Well, I thought of that a little later, I think. But yes.
Yeah.
So at any rate, they're like, oh, it's Elly. It's actually very FF7, because remember FF7, it's Aerith's spirit in the live stream that comes to save the day at the end, because the regular live stream wasn't cutting it.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well, basically same thing. Ellie's spirit in Deus is like, okay, well, I'm going to lift Deus up into space, that way it doesn't destroy the entire planet. And they're all just like, there's nothing we can do. She's sacrificing herself, which is like, good on her, but like, this sucks. We wish that we could save her. And then eventually, Faye realizes that his gear is still working, and he's like, I can go save her. And they're all just like, if you do that, then y'all will just both die. Your gear won't be able to like get back down. And he's like, whatever, I gotta go save Elly. So he goes out up there, and there's some really fucking cool graphics. And then there's this really cool scene where it goes all like anime, what's it called? Amazing Technicolor Battlefield. The best goddamn music in the game starts playing. The track entitled One Who Bears Fangs at God, which is an incredible title for a piece of music. And Faye and Elly and Krelian are like inside of Deus. in their spirit
And they're all very naked.
They're all hella naked.
Yeah, because they're not really inside of it. It's like it's their minds are in there, right?
Yeah.
And apparently their minds just don't wear clothes.
Yeah, they're all naked. But if there's ever a shot of their front, they don't have any genitalia.
Yeah, they're Barbie doll
They're just
naked.
Ken dolls up there. And Krelian says that he wants to return to the higher plane where everyone used to be. He's like, every single soul, like, there used to not even be a physical world. There used to just be this higher plane where everyone just lived as a wave and everything was in harmony. But then the vile mortal realm became created, and everyone's soul is just a sliver. It's just an offshoot of this energy. It's like this energy got leaked out of the higher plane and came down here, which again is a Gnostic belief. The idea that the mortal world physical world is just bad, basically. Like, physicality is bad and the spirit is pure, which is why it's a heresy. So anyway, and that's why Jesus was not fully God and fully man. He was only God because he could not be man, because a pure being like Jesus could not be any % man because physical reality is bad. And Jesus cast an illusion, I think, to make himself look like a person. I don't know. Gnosticism's weird, man. It's also
did he have an advantage on the will save though?
Yes. No, it was a bigger Luke situation.
Yeah.
So Krelian is like, the reason I want all of us to return to the higher plane of existence is because humans suck. Humans can never truly understand each other. They put up walls and keep each other at a safe distance to protect themselves. Faye's like, okay, sure, but one person's will doesn't have the right to unilaterally decide the green ending of Mass Effect 3 for everybody else. And then Krelian is like, well, what if there isn't any free will? And then Faye gives actually a really good speech about how it's not bad that humans are weak. It's good that humans are weak because since we're weak, the theme of the fucking game. The fact that humans are weak is why we need each other. And he says, "I'm happy to be a human. Actually, I'm proud to be a human," which is kind of cool. I like it. Also, he's like, me and Elly do understand each other. And Krelian's like, okay, well, if you and Elly really have a love and understanding that is so great that you don't even need God, then prove it by beating me in a robot fight.
Of course.
Apparently that's how you prove deep supernatural philosophical truths, is by proving, like, if I can win at robot fights, then obviously I'm right about human nature. If I wasn't right about human nature, then I wouldn't be able to win at a robot fight.
Yeah.
True.
And then this is our Nyx fight and not our Nyx Avatar fight. At least judging by how quickly this guy
this
beat
is
it.
the Nyx fight. This is the Cloud versus Sephiroth 1v1 fight. This is the fight that you cannot lose. You just kick its ass. And the music is, again, just stupid good. Because this is what I was talking about when I said that Yasunori Mitsuda doesn't write final boss battles the way most people do. Most people, when you hear final boss battle, you think loud, dramatic, epic.
Burn my dread.
For him, he's like, what if I had just this weird, like, complex, sort of layered rhythmic thing? And, like, that's what he's been doing his whole career for final boss tracks, and they all kick ass.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, Chrono Crosses kicks ass. Xenosagas kicks ass. Chrono Trigger is sort of a proto version of this. It doesn't quite have that vibe. It's still a little bit like dramatic and cool, but it's just more low key than your typical final boss battle. It owns.
That's so good.
Yeah, so you beat it, and then there's some more dialogue that I was going to write down, but I had to drive my car and I didn't want to type while I was driving, so I didn't write it down. I didn't want to die. So you beat him, and there's an anime scene where Faye's voice is really annoying. He's like,
this is where you finally get the Elly.
Yeah, so finally, I've been referencing this the whole damn game, and I never really got it because every time, Faye yells Elly many, many times in the game in text boxes. But finally, at this point, like I think he and the wave place where they're at, like the weird other pocket dimension they're in, is collapsing. As like you do,
it does.
like it does at the end of games. So Faye's running and Ellie's running, and Elly like trips, and he turns around and he goes, "Elly!" It's the weirdest read, and I'll never forget it
because it's canonically spelled ELL tilde Y exclamation point exclamation point.
Yeah, it's like, why would he put the emphasis on that syllable? But it's good. Also, we get a little more backstory about Krelian, actually. It turns out he's just actually kind of cool. I think Krelian was a really boring villain, but I think I've changed my mind. I think I actually like him this time around. He doesn't explain this himself. Elly has to explain it. But Elly explains that, like, Krelian was just deeply, deeply sad after everything that happened, and he lost all faith in humanity, and he's like, it would just be better if humanity could all just go and return to be one with God, because we've clearly, like, we've clearly just fucked up being mortal beings. We're just so bad at it, and there's all this pain, and all the pain would stop if we could all just go hang out and be one waveform in the sky.
He's kind of an anti-villain.
I like him. Except y'all are like, well, we don't want to go be a waveform in the sky.
Speaking of waveforms in the sky, so before we got to this anime thing, the wave existence shows its face as like a scanned 256 color version of someone's face.
That's Krelian.
Yeah. It says it's the wave existence, and then Ellie's like, no, it's Krelian.
Yeah.
But
it looks cool as hell.
It looks cool as hell, and that face is a spoilers character. Like, I swear, and I shared it in spoilers if you want to spoil Xenoblade 2 for you, but it's a character in Xenoblade 2. Like, straight up looks just like it to me.
What the shit? Takahashi, man.
Yeah, like, I'm sure it's a reference to that. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I thought this guy looked weird in Xenoblade 2, and it's because he's this guy, and it's legit, and I love it.
That's cool as shit.
I don't know if it's on purpose, like, and he obviously can never say it's on purpose because he doesn't own the characters in Xenogears anymore. But I think it's on purpose, which is super cool.
I dig it. That's great. That's sick. So at this point, there's no new plot. They just escape, and you wonder, are they going to make it, or are they going to die like Iron Man? And then turns out they make it, and they descend to Earth in their gears, and
Bart's voice
talks like this.
Oh, it's so bad.
And Titan talks like you would expect him to be. He's like, I say, old chap.
I really like Saitan's voice because you get to hear it a lot if you suck at speed like I do, and because he has like 15 different winning and or losing speed voice lines. So I really like Saitan's voice.
And also the music that plays here is some really interesting, like Gaelic, like throat, like yodely type stuff that's really good. The sound effects are a bit too loud, so I would recommend you go listen to it your damn self, because it's a good piece of music. Again, like, Takahashi and Mitsuda have been on one for 20 years, and they haven't stopped. Xenoblade 2, man. They go down. Elly and Faye both descend in the Xenogears, and they live, and everyone's like, time to rebuild the world. We finally can be our own people. We've broken free of this awful destiny that was ours since existence, and we've defeated it, and now we can be our own people that aren't just destined to become big pieces of a weird monster god thingy.
because he can't, Takahashi can't just make a Xenogears 2 like he wants. All of the Xeno games are thematically tied more than plot tied. It seems like they might secretly be plot tied and he just can't ever say it, but they're thematically tied in the God is a very real person and we're going to meet him several times along the way, but it's not his right to be our God. And that's kind of like the theme of all the Xeno games, and it's pretty dope.
Well, in the way Vic doesn't even want to be. He's like, can I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the ending credits music plays, and
it's dope.
It's fucking fantastic. Mitsuda is really good at sappy pop music ending themes, and this is one of his best. I maintain that his best one is the one at the end of Chrono Cross, but this one is definitely better than the one at the end of Xenosaga 1, because Xenosaga 1 has two, and they're weird. It's a beautiful song. It's called Small 2 of Pieces, because that's localization.
And it's TWO. It's not TOO either.
No. That's correct. That's correct. I think a better translation would be two small pieces.
Yeah.
Like two different people, Faye and Elly, love each other, and they're
It's weird because I was looking this song up earlier because apparently it's called Small 2 of Pieces in English, but the Japanese is actually Mabius.
Weird.
Yeah.
Is that really
At least the version with lyrics, it's on animelyrics.com. It's called Mabius.
Weird.
I feel like anime lyrics, just because I've been a fan of this game and it sounds like for a long time, I feel like, I can't look it up right now. I feel like anime lyrics may have got that wrong. I think Mabius is a different
Well, it was on YouTube as Mabius as well.
Okay, maybe. Maybe.
Who knows? It's
you know what? If that is true, which I believe that it's true, I just didn't realize till just now. I do think that Yasunori Mitsuda came up with all the English titles. That's why.
Okay,
it's not a
so he also
error.
came up with
This dude can't speak English error.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a translation. That's what Mitsuda called it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So the reason it's called Small 2 Pieces is, if you recall the English lyric, she talks about it's really cheesy, a broken mirror and how there's like a million shades of light or whatever. She's talking about, again, the Gnostic idea that all of the human souls are slivers of this one ultimate soul from which we all come from, and that's why we're all connected, because we're all actually just pieces of the same being. We are too small. Faye and Elly are two small pieces of the larger whole, which is really nice. The Japanese version is superior in one way because you can't understand the lyrics, so you don't know how cheesy they are. But the English version, I love the singer. I think she has the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my goddamn life. So, it's a toss-up. They're both very good pieces of music. And at the end, you get the biggest twist of all. At the end, it says, "The End, Xenogears, Part 5."
Yeah, what the fuck was up with that?
Yeah, they should have led with that
I think it was just a weird flex, mostly. He's like, hey, what if we do a Star Wars thing where it's like, this is actually part 5 of a 6-part story? It turns out, I can actually explain that. If you look in the Xenogears Perfect Works book, it is a weird flex, okay? The story is divided into 6 parts, but it's not like they were going to actually make 5 more games. Part 1 is everything that happens before Deus crashes on the planet. So the different parts are different eras in the planet's history. Like, part 4 is the 500 years ago shit. Part 3 is the Boehm civilization. Part 2 is, I guess, the early beginnings of the planet Earth. And part
Naked
6
Space Baby.
Part 6 is everything that happens after the game is over. Part 1, well, that's the funny thing. When they first announced that they were making Xenosaga, they were like, Xenosaga, a new series by Bandai Namco, who does not own the rights to Xenogears, and it's a 6-part series. And everyone was like, wait, a 6-part series? Just like how Xenogears was part 5 of 6? So does that mean that the 5th Xenosaga game will be Xenogears? That doesn't make sense. Also, doesn't make legal sense. No. The entire plot of Xenosaga is in, quote, part 1 of the Xenogears story.
Yeah.
And for the record, it does connect. Don't tell the lawyers, but it fucking does. 100%. Like,
yeah. I was under the impression that all of the Xenogears were, like, connected.
Yeah.
They're all of the
they're legally distinct, but if you put just a little bit of brain power into it, they're all connected.
Yeah.
For example, so the year that Xenosaga takes place, they changed the numbers so that it wouldn't get sued. If you look at like the title card at the beginning of Xenosaga, it's like the year whatever AD, you know? The year Xenosaga starts is the year that the Eldritch crashes.
Okay.
So it doesn't actually make sense, right? It would be at the end of the Xenosaga plotline is when the Eldritch crashes, right?
Yeah.
But they use that same number, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, they only made 3 Xenosaga games. If they had made 6 Xenosaga games, it probably would have ended with them making a giant god thing called Deus and then shutting it down and then putting it on a passenger ship and being like, bye.
So is Xenogears the only Xenogears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Thought I'd clarify that.
I don't understand this game series.
Yeah.
It's
so
a game...
basically, lawyers killed the game series, like, because Square was like, no, you can't make another one. You can't have this. And they're like, well, we want to go make one anyways. They were just like, well, you still can't have it. So he's like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to make it anyways and just be legally distinct. And so it's hard to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still Takahashi's stuff, but Square was being jerks about it and decided that Takahashi couldn't have his own toys back.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, and like, if you play Xenosaga, the plot is mostly unrelated. The only similarities are there is a Zohar. Actually, there's 12 of them now. There is a thing that is the Wave of Existence, basically. It's actually a much bigger part of the plot. They don't call it Wave of Existence, but like, there's a thing that is a higher dimensional being that is a major part of the plot. And in the 3rd game, like, Abel shows up, aka a little fucking kid that looks just like Faye shows up.
Okay.
So like little stuff like that, but like, it's not just callbacks. It's a very subtle, legally distinct way to do a series, and it's kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
you have to fill in the details with your imagination and by being a total nerd about it, like I am.
And
that just really sucks that they would just tell him no.
Well, I don't actually think that that's how it was. I don't think Takahashi even wanted to make. I think it was more like he left Square and wanted to make a new game, and he wanted it to be a space opera, and then he just kind of decided, what if I made this a low-key, sneaky prequel to Xenogears? I don't think it was like he wanted to make Xenosaga all along. If you played Xenosaga, I think you'll see that. You're like, yeah, this is not part of the Xenogears brand narrative. This is just a different story he made, but he low-key made it a prequel just for funsies.
Yeah, it's like a lot of authors, like Stephen King. All of his books take place in the same universe, but that doesn't fucking matter.
Like, it's just for funsies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's what Takahashi is with Steve. Yeah. So it's not really sad or anything. Okay. Like, he left Square for his own reasons, and then later decided to kind of make a prequel.
The fact that they all start with Xeno bothers me. Then
that's just like putting that's because he can't put a Tetsuya Takahashi game on the front cover. You know what I mean?
I guess I should understand, because not a single fucking Final Fantasy game has anything to do with the previous one.
Exactly. So, see, that's why I like Xeno even more. Not only is it a Final Fantasy style naming thing where they have nothing to do with each other, but they're also literally not even owned by the same company or legally connected, so it makes it even funnier. It's like, wait, this is a quote-unquote series that is not a series by any definition of the word. Just like how Final Fantasy II is actually the first Saga game.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I think it's cute and it's good. Anyway, right. That's
Xenogears. We did it.
That's Number Wang.
All right. Yeah. So, before we move on to our Q&A, because I'm going to trim it down because there's only two people asked questions, so I'm only going to take one from each. But before we do that, Eli, what was your favorite part of Xenogears? Tekken robots. That's the one.
Bart. I like Bart.
Eli.
I love Bart. He's my best boy, and I feel bad that I didn't use him more, but he started to not be as good as I can.
He's not that good. No. Sorry, Bart.
No, he didn't scale up well, and but I still love him. He's still my favorite.
Yeah. Bart is up there on me, and this next thing I have to preface. So, like in high school, in college, lots of places, you see the little like manic pixie dream girl out there, and you're like, oh, she's so great, and then you meet her like douchebag, like giant 4-wheel drive truck, like douchebag boyfriend, and you're like, you deserve so much better than him. I don't know why you're in this situation. I really love and cherish you, and you deserve better than this. I really like Elly, but I think the game is her douchebag boyfriend, and she deserves better than what the game did to her. Because when she's doing her Admiral Holdo and she says stuff off the cuff that we know from Margie became an entire religion of universal Unitarianism, like that stuff, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. I really like Elly for that. But this game was just not nice to the character that I liked.
I agree, except replace Elly with Faye. I thought maybe my opinion would change now that I'm 10 years older than I was last time I played this damn game, but by the end of it, I think Faye's a really, really good character. And I think that the psychodrama is a bit overdone, but even if you take all that out, he's still a great character. Like the sci-fi psychodrama is just, I'm not saying it's literally a metaphor, but like, replace that, it's like, just replace that with like learning to accept yourself in general. Yeah. Or like, I don't know, like he has a lot of monologues about his feelings that aren't directly related to all of his complex bullshit. And it's all like really good. It's not just making shit up. Like anytime the characters wax philosophical about like, when they're waxing philosophical about like not the meaning of life, about like, I don't know, gender shit, or like their ids, or like how their personalities were split because of sci-fi shenanigans, that's all stupid. But whenever the characters wax philosophical about just like their feelings and friendship and love and stuff, it's like, it's actually really good. It is. It doesn't come off as cheesy, childish nonsense. Like, I'm like, no, this is ringing true. This is good thoughts that are accurate, that I'm connecting with, and clearly a person and his wife who are both adults and know what love and friendship and sacrifice are putting their feelings into this, and it's real good. Faye has some stuff about how one of his problems, this is actually Lacan, is that he like, basically there's a part where Elly is like, Lacan, you always just burden yourself with every single other person in the world and don't care about yourself, and I felt that. And other stuff. So yeah, it's like he's a really freaking good character, and Elly ends up being a really freaking good character. But weirdly enough, their relationship together is not good at all because it's all just super contrived gender horseshit. But as individual people, they both have their own struggles that are really cool, and they deserved a better video game to be in. Absolutely. Also Bart.
Yeah. Also Bart.
Billy.
Yeah.
And basically all of them. Saitan's great. I think Takahashi agrees with Saitan deserving a better game because Saitan just is in Xeno Saga.
Yeah, straight up.
There's a guy who showed us in Xeno Saga 2 where it's just like, you just put Saitan in this game. He wears green and has a sword and is a nerd and has glasses. And
that's beautiful.
It's like you just put Saitan in the fucking game. Okay, cool.
All right.
The Sid of the Xeno series.
They put Maria in Xeno Saga 3.
Nice. Eli, did we lose you completely? Are you out?
No, I'm here, but I'm so tired. Can we end this?
Yeah. All right. So we'll do real fast ones. We can expound in text and answer these Q&As later. But if you could change the ending of one RPG, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a fucking good question.
Yeah, lightning round. First one that comes to mind.
I'd make more Undertale.
Just more Undertale?
Just more. Just stretch it out more. Give me more
of it. Nice.
More Undertale. That's what I want.
Good. What about you?
Go first.
Okay, mine...
Hold on, can the question say video game or RPG?
RPG. You can say video game if it helps you answer faster. Yeah, okay. But let's see. I would probably change the ending of Mega Man Legends 2, and I would do it by making it end and not open itself up for Mega Man Legends 3 that never happened.
Oh, that was too bad.
Yeah. And that's the most I could go into. Because it ends really cool, but it instead of hey, here's an ending, because you're going after the mother. Why not? You're going after the mother the whole time, and instead of okay, you do that, and now we can close the door and know what's done with the mother, we actually just opened a door, and here's the whole expanded universe of Mega Man Legends that... Have fun.
Soon to a PlayStation near you, lol.
Have fun, fan fiction writers.
Nice. Okay, this is probably not the best possible answer, but I've got one. Final Fantasy XII, the Final Fantasy series, generally knocks it out of the goddamn park when it comes to endings. They're all really goddamn good endings. 12's is just not just the ending, but also the whole the final dungeon is really short and doesn't have the drama that it should. The final boss is just kind of and then the ending is also kind of and that's coming off the heels of an otherwise fan-fucking-tastic video game.
I think similarly. Just real quick, I think Final Fantasy VII's actual ending, after you stop Sephiroth, kind of just rushes through and doesn't talk about any of the ramifications of what you just did. And I would have liked to park in it a little bit instead of just everyone's sitting on a cliff and they smile and the theme music plays and then it flashes forward 10,000 years and for some reason there's a bunch of red 13s and it's like dialogue, something a little more.
That all makes sense, actually, though.
It does
about it a little bit.
It does make sense, but it doesn't have weight to it. It just is an FMV sequence, and then the game ends. I would have liked to push on it a little bit more, and so I wouldn't change what happened. I just would have wanted it to be done differently. Right. I guess.
Right.
All right, so last question comes from our son Matt. If they were to make a game of your life, what would the title be? I don't know what the exact title would be, but it would be complicated word, boring ass subtitle. That's my favorite JRPG trope. Just Stella Deus, the Gates of Eternity. That naming scheme is definitely what I would have.
Indefatigable. Sam is cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Big Dumb Idiot, the official game of the movie.
Why are my glasses always dirty? The story of my very boring life.
I actually would love that if it's like shmup controls, but it's just you cleaning your glasses really quick, and they pull an RPG out of that experience.
Ever since the second grade, I've had glasses, and they're always dirty.
60 hours of gameplay later. But
will Eli's glasses ever be clean?
All right, so
stay tuned to find out.
I'm going to
cliffhanger ending, so you don't find out. It's just they found out the sequel that got canceled.
Yeah. So I'm going to lightning round and use my auctioneer voice to get us through our spiel, and then we're going to go to bed. All right. So that about does it for the week. If you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. If you want to just talk to us, we have a Twitter at rpgbookclub, an email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our favorite, our Discord, where everyone was hanging out with us tonight. It doesn't have a catchy URL, so you can find a link in the description. And we also, as of today, have our merch back up, which again is at shop.spreadshirt.com/rpgbookclub. We have 2 designs up. One is just our logo. The other one says #1 Junpei Stan. And then join us next week, and we'll be starting our playthrough of Legend of Dragoon, and we will play the first half of Chapter 1, Serdian War, and we will stop on the world map after the Battle of the City of Hoax. It is the last time you get like a tutorial in the game. It's the tutorial on what it means to actually be a Dragoon. So after the Dragoon tutorial, there's a battle, there's a world map, save on the world map, and that's where we'll come to a stop. Yeah. And if you want to play along, the game's available on the PS3, Vita, and PSP store as a PS1 classic, and it's only $5. And it also had a green and a black release on PS1, which means it was in print for a very, very long time, like into the PS3 type thing. So it's really cheap to get you a copy if you want the authentic disc spinning sound of the PS1.
Yeah.
But for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias. Super tired, Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Spiffleweapon.
Yay!
Yay!
Love all of you.
Thanks for coming on this journey, guys. Bye.
Excelsior.
Aww.